You ever wonder what it would feel like to fall asleep in a world where clean water is a distant luxury? Your bed is shared with 5 other people, and the air you breathe slowly poisons you. No? Well, tonight, you're about to find out. But first, take a breath. Let your shoulders drop, wherever you are right now. Close your eyes if you want to. We're stepping back, not just to a different year, but to a different reality. One that's uncomfortable, grimy, loud, and exhausting. But it's real. And for millions, it was all they knew. So now, it's evening in Bradford, England, 1834. The Industrial Revolution is in full swing, and you, my friend, are a factory worker. You live in a cramped brick tenement, squeezed between identical buildings that all exhale soot and desperation. Home is one room, about the size of a modern garage. Inside are 6 people: your wife, your 3 children, your elderly mother, and you. No walls, no doors, just corners that try to create the illusion of privacy. A single candle flickers in the center of the room, its light bouncing weakly off the damp walls stained with mildew. You've just walked in after 14 hours at the textile mill. Your skin itches with sweat dried into fabric. Your mouth tastes of coal and cotton, and your back feels like someone's been using it for bricklaying. But somehow, the thing you notice most as you step over the threshold isn't the physical pain. It's the smell. Not fresh bread, not a clean home, but a heady mix of wet wool, body odor, chamber pot fumes, and the sour residue of boiled onions. And yet, it's home. Your wife is by the fire, poking at something in the iron pot. Probably potato stew again, stretched with root vegetables and the last scraps of pork rind. She doesn't greet you with a kiss or a smile. She's too tired for that. But she nods, just enough to say, "I'm glad you made it back." Your daughter glances up from the corner, her face smudged with grime and her eyes shadowed with fatigue. She's 12, but works the same hours as you. Your mother? She's sewing. The light's too dim for that, but her fingers know the motion. And your 2 younger kids? They're chasing each other barefoot across the dusty floor, their laughter thin and short, as if even joy needs to ration itself in this house. You step toward the water basin and see it already half full, saved from this morning. It's murky. Bits of coal dust float in it. Doesn't matter. You roll up your sleeves and splash a little onto your face. The cold bites. Your fingers find the ragged sliver of soap, hard, brown, sharp-smelling. It's not meant for comfort. It's meant to last. You rub your hands, rinse your cheeks, and already the water looks like tea. A moment of stillness. Dinner is served from the same pot you all eat from. There are no plates, no napkins, no forks. Just spoons, 2 of them, pass between the 6 of you. You tear off a chunk of bread with your coal-stained fingers, dip it into the thin soup, and chew slowly, careful to avoid the soft spots in your teeth. You've already lost 4 molars, and you're only 35. Your youngest coughs. That wet, rattling cough you've heard too many times in too many neighbors' children. Your wife doesn't look up. She just stirs the pot, more out of habit than hope. Your daughter eats silently, her hands shaking slightly from the cold. The fire barely takes the edge off. But coal is expensive. You'll need what's left to cook with tomorrow. When dinner ends, your wife sets aside a cup of water, warmed by the fire. It's for you. Tonight is your wash night. Bath night in the tenement. She hangs a worn curtain, more like a heavy sheet, across one corner of the room. The children pretend not to look, turning away on the mattress. Your mother mutters something, lays down her stitching, and lies back against the wall. Behind the curtain, you strip down slowly. The air pinches your skin, and your shirt clings to your back like a second layer of bark, stiff, with dried sweat. Your wife brings a basin and pours warm water over your shoulders. Just enough to take the edge off the grime. You wash in sections: face, neck, underarms, hands, feet. There's no tub, no steam, No lavender-scented bubbles. Just this. A rag, a bar of soap, and your wife rinsing what she can. The water turns gray, then brown. Still, it feels amazing. The ache in your spine dulls. Your muscles seem to loosen. Your breathing deepens. You almost forget how tired you are. This isn't just washing. It's sacred, a ritual of reclamation, a way to feel human again. When it's done, she hands you a rough towel. You dry off, redressing in your least filthy shirt. Night clothes don't exist. You sleep in what you wore. As you pull back the blanket to slip into the mattress, already occupied by your children, your wife's hand brushes yours. She doesn't say anything, but the touch is enough. In this room, under this roof, after this day, it's the closest thing to intimacy you've got left. As the city breathes outside, the city hums on. Smokestacks pour their waste into the fog-stained sky. Rats chase shadows in the alley. The cesspit behind your building gurgles softly. The night soil men have not come in 3 days. The air tastes like rot and soot. You lie on your side, shoulder to shoulder with your family. No sheets. Just a wool blanket stretched thin over 6 bodies. You listen to your daughter's breathing, the occasional creak of the floorboards above, and your youngest's cough, now less frequent. Tomorrow, it will all repeat. The factory bell will shriek at dawn. Your feet will touch the icy floor. You'll walk through sludge and soot. You'll breathe in cotton dust until your lungs feel raw. You'll work until your fingers blister. And you'll come home to this again. But right now, you sleep. Real life echo. James Firth, 1832. In the archives of industrial England, we find the real journal entries of a boy named James Firth, who began working in a textile mill at age 9. By the age of 15, he had already lost 2 fingers in a spinning machine. He once wrote in a battered notebook, "We wash Saturday night. Sometimes there is soap, sometimes not. I like the feel of warm water. It reminds me of the rain on the farm before we come here. Mama says we must scrub, or God will think we're ungrateful. But the dirt, it comes back every Monday." James died at 22 from lung disease. But his scribbled words remain. A quiet voice among millions, reminding us that cleanliness isn't just about health. It's about dignity. You wake up to the shrill screech of the factory whistle, cutting through the stillness of the morning. It's 5 a.m. Still dark outside. The sky a muted blanket of gray. The air thick with coal dust and industrial smoke. You open your eyes, blinking against the dim light filtering through the cracks in the walls. The same old wooden floorboards, warped and creaky from decades of wear. You share this space with 5 other people, yet there is no real space here. Just bodies huddled close for warmth. The heat of your breath mingling with the cold of the room. The aches begin almost immediately. Your back feels like it's been used as a hammer. Your legs are stiff, and your neck is sore. The mattress, more like a collection of straw and hope, offering little relief for a body that's worked itself to the bone. You try not to wake the others. Your wife is next to you, her face flushed from the fire she stoked last night, the faintest trace of soot on her cheeks. She's still breathing softly, her hand curled beneath her head, but you know she'll be up soon. The kids are already moving, their small forms shifting and sighing under the threadbare blanket. Your mother, too, still sleeps in her corner, a quiet, rhythmic snore rising from her lips. She's older now, her skin thin and creased with time, but her heart is still strong, her hands steady as she works the spinning wheel, the loom, the fire. She's your anchor, as much as she's the one who needs to be held. You roll to your side, the mattress creaking beneath you. The sounds of the city begin to bleed in, the early stirrings of a community already gearing up for another long, hard day. The factory whistles blow in waves, each shrill scream pulling the people from their beds and into the streets. You stand. The cold floor bites at your bare feet. and you feel the chill creep through your worn pants. Your fingers run through your hair, still slick with the grime of the previous day. No time for a proper wash. No time for luxury. Only the simple, soul-crushing work that awaits you. You reach for the chipped ceramic chamber pot in the corner. The smell hits you first. That familiar odor of yesterday's waste, mixed with coal smoke and sweat. It's nearly full, and you know. Someone, likely your wife or daughter, will have to take it down to the cesspit later today. That's the routine. It's grim, it's dirty, but it's just how it is. The morning ritual. You do what needs to be done, then splash some cold water on your face from the basin. It's icy, and it shocks your senses. But it's all you've got. Your hands grasp the sliver of harsh soap that's been stretched out for the last few weeks. Its rough edges scraping your palms. It's made of animal fat, caustic and bitter, leaving your skin raw and red. But you make do. You splash your face, rub your hands with the soap, then rub the wet cloth through your hair. Your teeth? They're a luxury few people here can afford to properly care for. You've lost some, as many of your coworkers have. The only real option is to use a cloth with salt to scrub the worst of the decay away. Still, it's better than nothing. Your hands shake as you move quickly, trying not to waste water, trying to stretch this routine as far as it will go. The sound of your wife getting up breaks through your thoughts. Her feet shuffle softly as she rises, stoking the fire in the corner stove. There's no real privacy here. There never is. But there's an unspoken understanding, a silent rhythm between you. She knows you're doing what you can, and you know she'll be there for the rest. Your daughter is already at the water basin, her small frame hunched over as she splashes cold water on her face. She's only 12, yet she's already worked a full year at the textile mill alongside you. Her skin is pale, her clothes filthy, and her hands, small and delicate, are already cracked and calloused. She doesn't complain, though. No one does. Complaints don't change anything. They never have. A family divided. The breakfast table is set, though it's barely enough. A loaf of bread, half gone. A chunk of cheese, if you can call it cheese, hard and sour. The tea weak, brown water at best. But you make do. Your wife doesn't sit to eat. Instead, she stands by the stove, scraping bits of fat from the pot, stirring what little remains from last night's stew. It's all about managing, stretching the scraps into something more than they are. She knows this. You know this. It's survival. When the meal is done, there's no time for idle chatter. No one speaks of the long day ahead or the cold streets outside. There's no room for anything but getting ready. Your clothes are still filthy from yesterday's shift. You brush at the dirt, but it's pointless. Your pants are stiff with grime, the edges worn and faded, the knees almost shiny from overuse. You pull on your shirt, the same one you wore yesterday, and head to the door. You hear your wife sigh, her hands trembling slightly as she finishes cleaning up the mess. There's always something to clean up. Always. As you step out into the cold morning, the reality of it all hits you. The streets are a mess, a slurry of muck, filth, and waste, churned together by the heavy boots of thousands of workers. The air is thick with the scent of coal smoke, human waste, and the remnants of 100 meals made from whatever scraps people could afford. It's cold, frigid actually, but it doesn't matter. You're used to it. The pump down the street is already surrounded by women and children. Their jugs and buckets sit ready, waiting for the contaminated water to flow. You don't know it yet, but that same water, drawn from a shallow well, is poisoning the whole neighborhood. No one knows. Not yet. You pass the empty spaces between the tenements, the crowded houses where bodies sleep in close proximity, each room a breeding ground for illness, for disease, for despair. The streets are littered with refuse. Piles of human waste, animal carcasses, and food scraps litter the ground. The stench is unbearable, but you've grown used to it. You don't even smell it anymore. A day of labor. The walk to the mill is slow. The cold air stings your lungs as you make your way through the thick mud and sludge. Your feet slip as you walk, careful not to get your boots too wet. You can't afford to replace them. When you finally reach the mill, the bell rings. It's time. You slip into the dark, damp building. The air thick with cotton lint, machine oil, and the ever-present stench of industrial life. The machines roar as the workers fall into their respective places. There's no talking here. There's only the grinding sound of the looms and the ceaseless rhythm of labor. The work is dangerous. The machines are unguarded. The cotton dust fills the air, and you can already feel your throat tightening, your chest burning with each breath. Your daughter heads to her section, the place where the youngest of the workers, like her, are sent to crawl under the machines to fix jams or sweep the floors. It's the most dangerous place in the mill. Accidents happen here, frequently. Your throat burns from the dust. You cough, but it doesn't matter. No one notices. No one cares. A world in pain. The work is brutal. The machines don't stop. Your hands ache. Your back throbs. The heat from the machines only intensifies the stifling air. You're soaked in sweat, your shirt sticking to your skin, and you can't help but wonder, how much longer will you be able to do this? But you don't stop. You can't. Missing a day means losing pay. Losing pay means no food. No food means no survival. The workday stretches on. By the time you get a short break, your stomach is gnawing at you. You open your bundle of food, the stale bread, and maybe a piece of salted pork if you're lucky. You chew quickly, swallowing without thinking, your hands still grimy from the machines. There's no chance to wash them before eating. And then it's back to the grind. As the day drags on, the factory feels like a prison. The whir of machinery doesn't stop, not even for a moment. The air is thick with cotton fibers, making each breath feel like you're inhaling the very essence of industry. The heat from the machines adds to the suffocating atmosphere, and soon, the sweat starts pouring down your face, soaking into the collar of your shirt. By midday, your clothing sticks to your skin. The dampness isn't just from sweat anymore. It's the grime, thick, oily, and everywhere. It clings to your face, your neck, your arms. You try not to think about it, but the weight of the filth is suffocating. Your body feels like it's slowly being swallowed up by the work. Your hands ache, your shoulders burn, and your head pounds from the constant clatter of the machines. The mill is dark, even in the middle of the day, the only light filtering through grimy windows high up on the walls. The heat of the machines mixes with the stifling air, making the room feel like a furnace. You try to move with precision, each motion of your hands and arms carefully coordinated, but your body rebels. The pain in your back is a constant companion, and the ache in your legs only grows worse as the hours stretch on. It's hard to keep going, but you don't have a choice. The price of survival. By now, the conditions are taking their toll. The air is thick with dust, and each breath feels like it's coated in soot. The fibers from the cotton are in your lungs, in your eyes, and on your skin. You've learned to live with it. You don't even notice the coughing anymore. That's just a part of the job. That's just what happens when you work in a mill. Your daughter is across the room, working at her station. The smallest hands are the best for squeezing between the machines and cleaning out the debris. You glance over at her occasionally, but she's too small for you to reach. She's too far away, lost in the machinery, just another small body in the vast, grinding machine of industrial life. Her face is smeared with grime, her eyes red from the dust. She doesn't speak much. No one does, really. The noise of the machinery is deafening, drowning out any chance of conversation. You've both learned to communicate with looks, gestures, and the occasional nod. There's no room for words. There's no room for anything but the endless work. The cost of work. As the hours pass, the physical toll of the day becomes more apparent. You can feel the bruises forming on your legs from the constant movement. the deep, aching pain in your back from bending and twisting. Your feet are blistered and raw from walking on the unforgiving concrete floor. The boots you wear providing little comfort. You glance at the other workers around you. Some are older, their faces lined with years of exhaustion. Their bodies, too, show the wear and tear of factory life. They've been here longer than you, but you can see it in their eyes. The same weariness, the same resignation. They've accepted this life, as you have, but you can see the toll it's taken. Some cough violently, others limp with an old injury. But they keep going. They always keep going. The rigid structure of the mill. The mill is a world of its own, a world where everyone has their place, and where there's no room for deviation. The overseers patrol the floor, their sharp eyes scanning for any sign of weakness. They walk with a sense of authority, their boots clicking sharply on the concrete as they pass. If you stop for even a moment to rest, you'll hear the sharp bark of their orders. There's no room for taking a break. Your daughter works under one of the overseers, a particularly brutal one. She's small, too small for the tasks they've given her, but she doesn't complain. She can't. Complaining won't help her. It won't get her the rest she needs. It won't change the fact that she's here. She crawls between the machines, her hands reaching into narrow spaces to pull out scraps of thread. It's dangerous work. Dangerous for anyone, let alone a small child. The machines are unguarded. The gears and belts spin with brutal force, ready to tear at anything that comes too close. But she doesn't stop. She's learned to move with speed and precision, to avoid the sharp edges of the metal, to squeeze through spaces others can't. But even so, you can't help but worry. The unseen battle of the body. As the day wears on, the fatigue settles deeper into your bones. Your eyes are heavy, your vision blurred by the constant exposure to dust and grime. You've learned to work through the fatigue, to ignore the throbbing in your hands and the dull ache in your head. It's what you have to do to survive. But it's getting harder. The pain is becoming sharper now. Your joints crack and pop with each movement, and the sweat is mixing with the dust, creating a layer of grime that covers every inch of your body. You wipe your forehead with the back of your hand, but it's no use. The grime just keeps coming back. You glance at the clock, but there's no time to rest. The hours stretch on endlessly, each minute dragging into the next. The factory whistle blows again, signaling the end of your shift, but it doesn't feel like relief. Not yet. The harsh reality of the streets. As you leave the mill, the streets outside are just as harsh. The air is thick with coal smoke, the sky a dull shade of gray. The streets are crowded with workers, all trudging home, their bodies hunched under the weight of the day. No one speaks. No one has the energy to. You pass the public pump again, the same queue of women and children waiting for their turn to fetch water. The water is still contaminated, still poisonous. But no one knows it yet. Everyone drinks it. Everyone uses it. The connection between dirty water and disease isn't understood. Not yet. But it will be soon. The smell in the streets is overwhelming. The filth from the day's work, the discarded waste from the factories, and the muck from the horses all mixed together in a stench that clings to your clothes. You walk with your head down, trying not to step in the puddles of refuse that line the streets. You don't want to get your boots too dirty. Boots are expensive, and you can't afford new ones. Coming home to the same struggles. When you arrive home, your family is waiting for you. They're huddled around the small fire, trying to stay warm. The fire crackles softly, but it's not enough to chase away the chill in the room. You sit down at the table, your body aching from the day's labor. Your wife brings you a bowl of soup, thin and tasteless. But it's something. The bread is stale, the cheese hard, but it's food. You eat in silence, the weight of the day pressing down on you. The children are already in bed, their small bodies curled up on the mattress. Your wife washes her hands in the basin, her movements slow and deliberate. You can see the weariness in her face, the exhaustion from the constant struggle to keep everything together. She looks at you, her eyes soft, and you know she's feeling it too. You finish your meal, and then the evening routine begins. The water basin is passed around, each of you taking turns to wash your hands and face. The water grows dirtier with each use, but no one complains. There's no time for complaints. A moment of solitude. After the washing is done, you lie down beside your wife, the mattress creaking beneath you. The room is still, save for the faint sound of your children's breathing, soft and steady. You think about the day, about the work, about the factory, about the people, the workers who do this every day, the ones who survive, and the ones who don't. You think about your daughter, working in the same conditions you are, crawling under the machines, her hands and face smeared with grime. The reality of it all settles in. The fatigue, the struggle, the constant grind. But you can't afford to stop. Not yet. Not now. Tomorrow will come, just like it always does. The same whistle, the same machines, the same exhaustion. But for now, in the dim light of your cramped room, you close your eyes and drift into sleep. The weight of the day slowly melting away. For a moment, you can almost forget. The bell rings again. The shrill cry of the factory whistle rips through the morning air, and the workers begin to stir. You open your eyes, your body stiff and sore from the hard mattress. It's the same as every morning, the same routine, the same exhausting day ahead. You can feel the ache in your muscles even before you move. Your back is sore from yesterday's work. Your hands are raw from the machines, and your lungs still burn with the dust and fibers you've inhaled day after day. But there's no time to rest. No time to think about the pain. The factory floor calls, and there's no one who will listen to your complaints. You shift slowly, trying not to wake the others. Your wife is still asleep beside you, her body curled up for warmth. The children are huddled together on the mattress, their small forms tangled in the thin blanket. They look so peaceful when they sleep, but you know that peace is fleeting. The day will come, soon enough. You take a deep breath, wincing as the cold air fills your lungs. The fire is out, as usual. There's never enough coal to keep the room warm through the night. You get up carefully, your joints cracking as you stand. The floor is cold beneath your bare feet, the chill seeping into your bones. The harsh reality of the morning. You glance around the room. It's small, cramped, and dark, but it's home. For now. You step over the pile of clothes that have been left on the floor and make your way to the chamber pot in the corner. The smell hits you before you even get close. The pot is nearly full, and it's your turn to empty it. This is the reality of your life. Constant, never-ending work. No time for comfort. No space for anything but survival. You quickly take care of what needs to be done, then head to the water basin. The water is cold, as it always is in the mornings. You splash your face quickly, trying to wake yourself up. The shock of the cold water makes you gasp, but it's the only way to start the day. There's no time for a real wash, no time for anything but getting dressed and heading out to the factory. You reach for the piece of soap, the harsh, brittle bar that you've been using for weeks. It's small now, almost gone, but it has to last. You wash your face and hands, the soap scraping against your skin. It's rough, but it's all you have. Your daughter is up now, already at the basin. She's wiping her face with the same water you just used. She doesn't complain. She doesn't ask for anything more. She just does what needs to be done. Just like you glance over at your wife, who is already starting to stoke the fire in the small stove. She's working quickly, her movements efficient but tired. She's been doing this for years, keeping the family fed, keeping the room warm, keeping everything together. But it's taking its toll. The struggle for cleanliness. After the wash, it's time for breakfast, or what passes for breakfast. There's a loaf of bread, hard and stale, and a small chunk of cheese. The tea is weak, barely more than hot water with a splash of flavor. But it's enough to get you through the day. Your wife doesn't sit down with you. She's too busy. There's always something to do. She's already preparing the food for later, packing your daughter's lunch for the mill, and making sure the younger children are ready for the day. She moves quickly, like a machine, but you can see the weariness in her eyes. You don't speak much during breakfast. There's nothing to say. The routine is the same as always. You eat, you clean, and you get ready to leave. The world outside is waiting for you, and it won't wait long. The long walk to the mill. You stand and stretch, wincing as your back protests. The streets outside are already busy, filled with workers heading to the mill, their faces lined with exhaustion. The air is thick with smoke, the sky a dull gray. You walk quickly, your feet crunching on the cold cobblestones, your boots slapping against the ground. The streets are filthy, a mix of mud, manure, and refuse. The smell is unbearable, but you've gotten used to it. You don't notice it anymore. You don't notice anything anymore. There's just the walk, the long, endless walk to the factory. As you pass the public pump, you see the women and children waiting their turn for water. You know it's contaminated. You know it's making them sick. But no one knows that yet. Not for a while. So they drink it. They use it to cook, to clean, to wash themselves. But it's poison, slowly killing them, one sip at a time. The factory floor. When you arrive at the factory, the noise hits you first. The machines are already running, the hum and whir of the looms filling the air. You step inside, the heat from the machines immediately pressing against your skin. The air is thick with dust, the cotton fibers floating in the shafts of dim light. It's hard to breathe, but you don't have a choice. You push through, making your way to your station. Your daughter is already there, working under one of the machines. Her small hands are moving quickly, wiping down the machinery, cleaning up the cotton debris that has accumulated. She's too small for the job, but she's learned to move with precision, to squeeze between the machines and get the job done. You don't speak to her. There's no time for that. You just work. You work until the whistle blows, until the day ends. There's nothing else. The cost of constant work. As the hours drag on, your body starts to ache in places you didn't know could hurt. Your fingers are raw, your hands shaking from the constant motion. The heat in the room is unbearable, but there's no way to escape it. The machines are loud, deafening, and the air is thick with cotton dust. Your lungs burn with every breath. But you don't stop. You glance at your fellow workers, their faces just as grim as yours. Some are older, their bodies showing the wear of years spent in the factory. Others are younger, their faces still fresh, but their bodies are already starting to show the strain. No one is immune. The work breaks everyone down. The hours pass slowly, painfully. Your back aches, your feet hurt, your head throbs. But you keep going, because that's what you do. You work, you survive. The breaking point. By the time the bell rings, signaling the end of the shift, you feel like you've been broken in two. Your body aches, your mind is foggy, and your soul feels heavy. You can barely stand, but you force yourself to move, to gather your things and leave. There's no rest, not yet. The streets outside are just as filthy as they were this morning. The air is thick with smoke, and the mud is deeper than before. You make your way back home, the walk just as long and exhausting as it was in the morning. The city feels like a prison, its walls closing in on you with each step. A moment of rest. When you get home, your wife is already waiting. She's cooking dinner, but there's no joy in her movements. There's no time for joy. She sets the table, the small pot of stew sitting at the center. The children gather around, their faces tired, their bodies exhausted from the same work you've just finished. You eat quickly, barely tasting the food. Your stomach is still empty from the long hours at the mill. The bread is stale, the cheese hard, but it's enough. It has to be. After dinner, you help clean up. There's no time to rest. You have to prepare for tomorrow. The same routine, the same exhaustion, the same factory. But for tonight, there's a small moment of relief. You sit down on the mattress, your muscles sore and tired, and close your eyes for a moment. You know tomorrow will come, just like it always does. But for now, you can rest. You can forget, just for a little while. The days blend together, one indistinguishable from the next. You've lost track of how many times the factory whistle has blown, how many hours you've spent standing in front of the same loom, your hands moving mechanically, your body aching under the relentless weight of it all. By now, the factory has become your world. The air is thick with cotton fibers, the hum of the machines constant in the background. The heat is stifling, and your clothes are soaked with sweat, caked in grime from the day's labor. Your body feels like it's slowly breaking down, but you don't stop. You can't. The mill is unforgiving, and so is the world outside. Your lungs hurt. You've been coughing for weeks now, but it's nothing unusual. The dust in the air has a way of getting into your chest, filling it with a tight, painful pressure that never really goes away. Your colleagues cough too, some more violently than others, but you've learned to ignore it. It's just a part of the job. You glance over at your daughter, who is working beside you. Her tiny hands are already covered in grime, her face pale from the hours spent in the dust-filled air. Her eyes are red, her cough intermittent but persistent. You can see the strain in her movements, but she doesn't stop. She never does. She's only 12, but she's already lost her childhood. Like so many others, she works in the mill for 12 hours a day, her small body contorting into positions that should be impossible for someone her age. The machines never stop. The work never ends. She's part of the factory now, just another cog in the machine. The price of labor. The hours stretch on, the work unrelenting. Your body is sore from the constant motion, your hands raw from the rough cotton and the oily machines. You try to focus, but the exhaustion makes it hard to keep your mind sharp. Your back aches from bending over, your neck stiff from hours of labor. The overseers walk the floor, their eyes sharp, looking for any sign of weakness. They don't care if you're tired. They don't care if you're sick. All they care about is whether you're working, whether you're producing. There's no room for rest, no room for anything but work. You swallow your complaints. You've learned to. The factory is a place where your body doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the machines, to the owners, to the factory. Your body is just a tool to be used until it can no longer function, and then they'll replace you with someone younger, faster, and cheaper. You can feel the toll it's taking on you. Your teeth are loose, your gums swollen and bleeding. Your hands are calloused, and your nails are caked with dirt that won't wash off. You've lost count of how many times you've been cut by the machines, how many times you've bruised your body against the hard surfaces of the factory floor. But none of that matters. You can't afford to think about it. You have to keep going. The desperation of sickness. By midday, the heat in the factory is unbearable. The sweat drips down your face, mingling with the dust and grime that coat your skin. Your throat is dry, and you can feel the ache deep in your chest. The cough is getting worse. It's not just the dust now. It's something more. But you don't stop. You can't afford to stop. You glance around at the other workers. Some of them are just as sick as you are, some worse. You can see it in their eyes, the hollow, tired look that comes with years of hard labor and sickness. The coughs are more frequent now, echoing through the factory floor like a chorus of suffering. But no one speaks of it. No one mentions it. To do so would be to acknowledge weakness, and weakness has no place here. You know what it's like. You've seen it before. You've seen the workers who've collapsed on the floor, too sick to keep going, their bodies too worn down to continue. Some of them are carted off to the workhouse, where they'll receive no care, no attention, until they're worked to death or sent to the grave. Others simply disappear. Their families never know what happened to them. Sickness is a constant companion in the mill. It's a part of the job. It's a part of the cost of survival. The owners don't care about the health of their workers. They only care about productivity. If you can't keep up, they'll find someone else who will. You can feel it creeping up on you now. The sickness. You've seen the signs. The deep cough, the wheezing breath, the pain in your chest. It's nothing new. The mill workers are plagued by respiratory diseases, their lungs scarred by years of breathing in cotton dust and machine oil. But you don't stop. You keep working. The weight of family. Your daughter coughs beside you, her small frame shaking with the force of it. You glance at her, but she doesn't stop. She can't afford to stop. Not now. Not ever. You wonder how much longer she can keep this up. How much longer you can keep this up. You've seen children like her. Their bodies worn down by the constant work. Their hands covered in blisters. Their faces pale and drawn. Their lives cut short by the factory. You've seen it in their eyes. The hopelessness, the resignation. And you wonder if that's what awaits your daughter. If that's what awaits you. The overseer calls out, his voice sharp, cutting through the noise of the machines. He doesn't look at you, doesn't care about your exhaustion, your sickness, your pain. He only cares about the work. You turn back to your loom, your hands moving automatically as the hours slip by. Your body aches, but you don't stop. You can't. The bleak future. By the time the whistle blows again, signaling the end of your shift, you feel like you've been broken in two. Your body is sore, your mind is foggy, and the sickness in your chest is worse than ever. But you stand up, gather your things, and make your way out of the factory. The streets are no better. The air is thick with coal smoke, the sky gray and heavy. You walk through the muck and filth, trying not to step in the puddles of waste that line the streets. The smell is overwhelming, but you've grown used to it. You don't even notice it anymore. It's just part of life. When you get home, your family is waiting for you. Your wife is cooking dinner, and the children are already gathered around the small fire. They're tired, just like you, their faces pale and drawn. Your youngest is sitting on the floor, coughing with that deep, rattling cough. Your heart sinks. You know that cough. It's the one that means something more. You sit down at the table, your body aching from the day's work. The meal is simple: bread, soup, a bit of cheese, but it's all you have. You eat quickly, trying to fill the emptiness in your stomach, but it doesn't help. The sickness is still there, gnawing at you. Your wife looks at you with concern, but she doesn't speak. There's no point. You're both too tired to talk, too worn down by the endless work. The children eat in silence, their faces still streaked with dirt from the factory. The unseen suffering. After dinner, you help clean up, but there's no joy in it. There's no lightness, no sense of accomplishment. There's just the heavy weight of the day's labor settling over you. You wash your hands in the basin, the water growing dirtier with each use. The same water you used this morning. The same water you'll use tomorrow. When you finally lie down, your body aches in ways you never thought possible. The mattress is just as hard as it was yesterday. The air is still thick with the smell of coal smoke, the sounds of the street seeping through the walls. You lie there in the darkness, trying to find comfort in the closeness of your family. But it's hard. It's hard to find comfort when you know that tomorrow will bring the same struggles. You close your eyes, trying to sleep, but the sickness in your chest won't let you rest. The cough is constant, deep and rattling. You can't shake it, no matter how hard you try. You wonder how much longer you can keep going, how much longer you can survive in this world. But you don't have time to think about it. You just sleep, if you can call it sleep, your body exhausted, but your mind still racing with the endless cycle of work, sickness, and survival. It's the beginning of another endless cycle. You awake, the sound of the factory bell ringing in your ears before you even open your eyes. The world outside your single room is already alive with the thrum of industry, the distant sound of machines running, the constant buzz of life that never stops, never slows. The factory is waiting for you. The work is waiting for you, and your body is already aching in anticipation of the toll it will take. You don't want to get up. You don't want to face another day of grueling labor, of breathing in the polluted air, of putting your body through the same exhausting motions. But there's no choice. There never is. Your body feels heavier than usual this morning, more sluggish, as though the weight of the world has settled on your chest during the night. The air in the room is damp, the cold creeping in through the cracks in the walls. You can hear your family stirring. Your wife, up early as always, stoking the fire in the corner stove. The soft coughs of your children waking up beside you. The world is cold, but your family is warm in the way that only those who've suffered together can be. You can feel the weight of that warmth even now, even in the early hours of the morning. You rise, your joints protesting, your back stiff. The familiar ache of a long day of labor awaits. But there's no time for hesitation. The mill won't wait. The invisible strain. Your hands find the chamber pot. The cold ceramic now a familiar weight, a constant companion in the early morning ritual. The smell, urine mixed with the stench of the mill, the coal smoke, the sweat, has become so ingrained in your senses that you barely notice it anymore. The pain in your chest is sharper now, the cough from the day before creeping back, but you push it aside. There's no time to dwell on that. You make your way to the basin, the cold water from last night's draw waiting for you. You splash it on your face, the shock of the cold air biting your skin, forcing your body to wake up. The soap, still a thin sliver, scratches against your hands as you wash. You think about the work ahead, the endless hours of bending, reaching, breathing in the dust, the grime. The weariness seems to pile on, layer by layer, each day adding another weight to your shoulders. Your daughter is already up, washing her face in the basin. Her face is thinner than it used to be, her skin pale and drawn. The factory has taken its toll on her, just as it's taken its toll on you. She doesn't say much in the mornings. She doesn't need to. The silence between the two of you has become its own language, a language of shared struggle, of endurance. She's still young, but already you can see the burden of labor weighing on her small shoulders. The factory has stolen her childhood. The work ahead. You glance over at your wife. She's already preparing breakfast, if you can call it that. The bread is stale, the cheese hard, and the tea is weak. It's the same every day. There's never enough, but you make do. You have to. Your wife doesn't sit down with you. She's too busy as always. There's always something to do. She's cooking, cleaning, looking after the children, all while trying to keep the house warm enough to survive the cold. She's always moving, always working, never resting. You wonder how long she can keep this up. The kids eat in silence, just as they always do. You eat quickly, barely tasting the food, knowing that you need to save every ounce of energy for the day ahead. The factory waits for no one. It doesn't care how tired you are, how sick you feel. It doesn't care that your body is wearing down, that your lungs are already filled with dust. It only cares about getting the work done. You finish your meal, and it's time to go. Your boots are still caked in grime from yesterday, but they're the only pair you have. So you put them on, tie them tight, and step out into the cold morning air. The relentless streets. The streets are crowded with workers, all heading to the mill. There's no talking, no interaction. Just the same tired faces, the same worn bodies. The smell of coal smoke and waste fills the air, the streets slick with muck and refuse. You walk alongside your neighbors, but there's no camaraderie. You're all just trying to survive. As you walk, you think about the children, your daughter, and the others. You think about the way they've had to grow up too quickly. The factory has taken away their innocence, just as it's taken away yours. They're learning to survive, just as you did. They're learning that life isn't about dreams. It's about endurance. The work never ends. When you arrive at the mill, the familiar sound of the machines greets you. It's a deafening roar, the hum of the looms, the buzz of the machines that never stop, never pause. You slip into your place, standing at your station, your hands moving automatically as you start the endless work. There's no time for thought, no space for anything but the task at hand. Your daughter is already at her station, her small hands moving with precision as she cleans the machines, as she collects the scraps. She's been doing this for over a year now, but it hasn't gotten easier. Her body is smaller, more delicate, and the work is harder on her than it is on you. But she doesn't complain. She knows that complaining won't help. Complaints are for people who have time for them. You don't have time for anything but work. The day drags on, the hours blending together in a haze of exhaustion and monotony. You breathe in the dust, the cotton fibers settling in your lungs, coating them with every breath. The machines don't stop. The work doesn't stop. It's the same, day after day. The physical toll is taking its toll on you, but there's no room to stop, no room to rest. The harsh reality of health. By midday, the cough is worse. Your chest tightens with every breath, and the pain is sharp. You can feel it in your lungs, the fibers of the cotton mingling with the soot and dust in the air. You try to ignore it, but it's getting harder. The overseers walk by, their sharp eyes scanning the floor for any signs of weakness. They don't care if you're sick. They don't care if you're in pain. They only care about the work. If you can't keep up, they'll find someone who can. You glance around at your coworkers. Some are coughing too, their faces pale and strained. But no one says anything. There's no point. The work doesn't stop for sickness. It doesn't stop for anything. You think about the future. You think about your daughter and the other children. What kind of life will they have? Will they spend their entire lives working in the mill, their bodies worn down by the labor, their lungs filled with dust? Will they ever escape? Or will they be trapped in this cycle forever? A glimmer of hope. As the day finally comes to an end, you feel the weight of the work bearing down on you. Your body aches in ways you never thought possible. You walk home slowly, the streets just as filthy as they were in the morning. The air is still thick with coal smoke, the sky dark and oppressive, but there's a small glimmer of hope. It's the smallest thing. It's your daughter's smile, as faint as it is, as she looks up at you from across the room when you get home. She's tired, but she's still here. You're still here. And in this world, that's something to hold on to. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know if things will ever change. But you do know this. The fight for survival is a shared one. And maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for something better. If not for you, then for the next generation. Another day, another round in the endless cycle of industry. You open your eyes, the familiar groan of your body protesting as you move. The pain in your back is sharp, but you're used to it. The ache in your lungs is more prominent today, a constant reminder of the suffocating environment of the mill. But still, you rise. You must. The factory bell will sound soon, signaling the beginning of another grueling day. Your family stirs around you, the small room buzzing with the low hum of waking life. You can hear the soft rustling of your children, the gentle cough of your youngest, and the faint sigh of your wife as she stirs the embers of the fire. The morning light barely filters through the cracks in the walls, dim and cold. The air is thick with dampness, and you can feel it in your bones. You glance over at your wife. She's already up, already working. The routine is automatic by now. She never sleeps in. There's no time for rest, not when there's so much to do. The children are stirring, the youngest one whining softly for attention. But there's no time for that either. She'll have to wait. There's work to be done. You don't say anything. There's no point. The unspoken language of your life is one of survival. You both know what needs to be done. Another morning, another struggle. You rise, your muscles stiff from the cold, your feet cold as they meet the floor. The chamber pot waits in the corner, full again from the night before. The smell is familiar, and you don't flinch anymore. It's part of the rhythm of your life. You take care of it quickly, your movements mechanical, and then move to the water basin. The water is cold, as it always is in the mornings, but you splash some on your face anyway. The shock of it makes your body gasp, but it's the only way to wake up. The soap, now a thin sliver, scratches against your hands as you rub it over your face. The rough texture, leaving your skin raw. You think about the day ahead. Another long shift in the mill. Another day breathing in the dust. Another day in this suffocating cycle of survival. Your daughter is already at the basin, her face pale and drawn from another night of fitful sleep. She doesn't speak. She doesn't have to. The silence between the two of you speaks louder than any words. You can see the wear in her body, the tiredness in her eyes. She's too young for this, but there's no choice. The mill waits for no one. You glance at your wife, already preparing breakfast. The same stale bread, the same weak tea. It's enough to get through the day, but it's never enough to truly nourish. The food is a fleeting luxury, a necessity to survive until the next shift, until the next day. The pain of endurance. As you sit at the small table, eating your meager breakfast, you can feel the weight of it all settling in. The ache in your back, the tightness in your chest, the exhaustion in your limbs. It never goes away. It's always there, a constant companion in your daily life. Your wife doesn't sit with you. She's already moving, already preparing the children for their day, already stoking the fire to keep the room warm. She doesn't have time to sit. She doesn't have time to rest. You finish your food quickly, not because you're hungry, but because it's just another part of the routine. There's no enjoyment in it. There's no satisfaction in the act of eating. It's just something you do, something that gets you one step closer to the factory, one step closer to another grueling day. Your daughter finishes eating too, and the silence in the room deepens. No one speaks. No one complains. It's just the rhythm of survival. It's just another day in the life of the mill worker. The crushing reality of work. The factory looms large in the distance as you make your way through the crowded, filthy streets. The air is thick with coal smoke, the sky a dull gray, the streets slick with mud and refuse. The smell is unbearable, but you've grown used to it. You don't even notice it anymore. Your daughter walks beside you, her head down, her feet dragging. You can feel her exhaustion, her weariness, but she doesn't say anything. She's learned that silence is the only language that matters here. You both know what awaits at the mill. You both know the toll it will take. The factory is already alive when you arrive. The noise of the machines filling the air. The hum of the looms drowning out everything else. You slip into your place, your hands moving automatically as you begin the work. The work doesn't care how tired you are, how sick you feel. The work doesn't care about anything but productivity. Your daughter is already at her station, working with the same precision and speed she's learned over the past year. She's small, too small for the tasks she's given, but she doesn't stop. She can't. The hours drag on, the work never ending. You breathe in the dust, the fibers, the soot. Your lungs feel heavy, but you don't stop. You can't. The mill will keep running, with or without you. the pain of the body. By the time the lunch bell rings, your body is already screaming for relief. Your hands ache, your back is sore, and your chest feels tight from the constant inhalation of dust. But there's no time to rest. There's no time to complain. You eat quickly, your hands still grimy from the machines. Your food tasteless, but necessary. The bread is stale, the cheese hard, but it's all you have. You don't stop to savor it. There's no time for that. The overseer walks by, his eyes scanning the workers, looking for any sign of weakness. But there's no weakness here. You've learned that weakness doesn't exist in the mill. Weakness is a luxury that only the rich can afford. The rest of us have to endure, have to survive. You glance at your daughter, who is eating with the same mechanical precision. She doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge you. She's already learned the way of the factory, silent, obedient, relentless. The unseen cost of labor. As the day drags on, the work becomes harder, the toll on your body more pronounced. You can feel the strain in your muscles, the exhaustion building with each passing hour. Your back aches. Your hands bleed from the rough cotton. Your chest feels tight with each breath. But you don't stop. You can't. The mill demands your labor, your body, your soul. There's no room for rest. No room for anything but the endless work. You think about your daughter, about the toll this work is taking on her. She's already lost her childhood. She's already seen the inside of the mill, more than she's seen the outside world. You wonder if there's any hope for her, any chance for her to escape this cycle. But you don't say anything. You don't speak about it. It's just another unspoken truth between the two of you. The overseers walk by again, their eyes sharp, their faces hard. They don't care if you're sick, if you're tired, if you're in pain. They care only about the work. They care only about the machines. The desire for something better. As the final bell rings, signaling the end of your shift, you feel the exhaustion settle deep into your bones. You've made it through another day. But at what cost? Your body is worn. Your mind is numb. And your heart feels heavy with the weight of it all. You walk home, your feet dragging, your lungs aching with every breath. The streets are just as filthy as they were in the morning. The air, just as thick with coal smoke. You pass the public pump again, the women and children still queuing for water, unaware that it's slowly poisoning them. Your daughter walks beside you, her face pale, her eyes empty. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. You both know what tomorrow will bring. The same cycle, the same exhaustion, the same fight for survival. But even in the darkest moments, you hold on to something. A faint, distant hope. A hope that things might change. That one day, your children won't have to endure this same life. That they might have a chance at something better. The whistle blows again, cutting through the night, and you can feel the familiar weight of it before it even sounds. It's like the factory's pulse. A relentless rhythm that drives the work, drives the workers, drives the machine of your life forward with no end in sight. The factory is never still, never silent. It demands your labor every minute, every day. You wake up already dreading the hours that stretch before you. Your body aches, your skin sticky with the remnants of yesterday's grime. You're too tired to get up, too exhausted to care. But there's no choice. There never is. The smell of the damp room fills your nose, thick with the familiar scent of coal smoke and wet wool. Your wife stirs beside you, and you can hear the soft, tired sighs of your children as they move in their sleep. The room is cold, but there's no time to worry about that. The fire is out, and the coal is too precious to waste. There's no time for warmth. There's only time for survival. You push yourself up, your joints protesting, your muscles stiff from the day before. The aches are familiar, as if they've become part of you now, a constant companion. You stand, your feet cold against the wooden floor, and you feel the familiar burn in your chest, the cough still lingering from the dust and the pollution of the mill. The ritual of suffering. The chamber pot is in the corner, just as it always is. It's full, and it smells just like you expect it to, like urine, and the weight of all that's unsaid in this life. You take care of it quickly, the act mechanical, the smell no longer bothering you. You've grown used to it. You've grown used to everything. The water in the basin is cold. It always is. You splash some on your face, feeling the bite of the cold air as it hits your skin. The shock is enough to clear away the last remnants of sleep, but it doesn't ease the ache in your chest or the tightness in your lungs. The soap, now just a sliver, scrapes against your skin, its harshness a reminder of how little you have. Your daughter is already up, standing at the basin. She's no older than 12, but her body has already been shaped by the mill, by the work, by the endless cycle of labor. Her face is pale, her eyes tired, her hands shaking as she splashes water on her face. She's been working beside you for a year now, but you can see the toll it's taking on her small body. It's hard to watch, harder still because you know there's nothing you can do to stop it. Your wife stirs in the corner, the fire crackling softly as she prepares for the day. There's no time for warmth, but the fire is a necessity to cook, to get through the day. She's already moving, already working, and there's no space for anything but that. The small luxuries breakfast is quick. A chunk of stale bread, a thin piece of cheese, and weak tea. It's the same every day, but it's all you have. The children eat in silence, their faces weary from the long hours at the mill. Your wife doesn't sit. She's already cleaning, already preparing for the next round. There's no rest here, no time to catch your breath. Just one task after another, each one blending into the next. You don't speak much. There's no point. The work speaks for itself. The rhythm of life is set by the factory bell, by the constant need to survive. You eat, you clean, and then you get ready to leave. Your daughter finishes her bread, her eyes distant. She doesn't look at you. She doesn't need to. You both know what awaits you. The mill is waiting. The machines are waiting. The cycle is ready to begin again. The dark walk to the mill. You step out into the cold morning air, the streets just as filthy as they were yesterday. The smell of waste, coal smoke, and refuse fills your nose, but you've long since stopped noticing it. It's a part of the world now. It's the backdrop to your life, a constant, unavoidable reality. The streets are crowded with workers, all heading to the mill. They move like a river, each person lost in their own thoughts, their own exhaustion. There's no camaraderie, no sense of community here. Everyone is just trying to survive, to get through the day. As you walk, you glance at your daughter. Her face is pale, her eyes hollow with the weight of the factory. She doesn't speak, doesn't look at you. She's already learned that silence is the only language that matters here. You wonder, not for the first time, what her future holds. Will she work in the mill for the rest of her life? Will she have children of her own, raised in this same world of dust and pain? The factory looms ahead, its smokestacks rising high into the sky, its presence suffocating. The sound of the machines can already be heard in the distance. You know that the work will be as grueling as it always is, that the toll on your body will only increase with each passing day. But you don't stop. You can't. The never-ending grind. When you arrive at the factory, the noise is deafening. The machines are already running, the hum of the looms filling the air. You slip into your place, your hands moving automatically, your body already tired, already aching. There's no time to stop, no room for rest. Your daughter is already at her station, small and delicate, her hands moving quickly as she cleans the machines. She's learned to navigate the factory with speed and precision, to get in and out of the tight spaces between the machines without getting caught. But you can see the wear in her eyes, the exhaustion in her movements. The day stretches on, the hours blending together in a haze of dust, sweat, and grime. The machines never stop. The work never ends. The overseers patrol the floor, their sharp eyes scanning for any sign of weakness, for any moment of hesitation. They don't care if you're sick, if you're tired, if you're in pain. All they care about is getting the work done. You feel the weight of it all pressing down on you, the strain in your chest, the ache in your back, the exhaustion in your legs. The work never stops. It's a constant, unrelenting force, and you can't escape it. There's no room for anything but survival. The unseen cost of labor. As the day drags on, you feel the toll it's taking on your body. Your hands are raw from the machines, your lungs tight from the dust in the air. You can feel the ache in your chest, the cough that's gotten worse over the past few days. You try to ignore it, try to push through, but it's hard. It's harder every day. Your daughter coughs beside you, her small body shaking with each breath. You glance at her, but she doesn't stop. She doesn't complain. She's learned not to. She's learned that silence is the only thing that matters here. You think about the future, about your daughter, about the life you've built for her. Will she ever escape this? Will she ever be able to leave the factory behind and live a life free from the constant grind of work? You don't know. You can only hope. The fragility of hope. When the whistle blows again, signaling the end of the shift, you can't help but feel a small sense of relief. It's not freedom, but it's the closest thing you'll get today. Your body is exhausted, your mind numb, and the air is thick with the smoke from the factory chimneys. You gather your things and head out, your body dragging behind you, each step heavy with fatigue. The streets are just as filthy as they were in the morning. The air thick with the smell of waste, coal, and the remnants of 100 meals. You walk home in silence, your daughter beside you, her small hand clutching yours. You don't speak, but you both know what the day has been, what the future will bring. You both know the struggle. When you arrive home, your wife is already waiting, the fire crackling softly in the corner. The children are huddled together, their faces weary from the day's work. You sit down at the table, your body aching, and you eat the small meal that's waiting for you. The bread is stale, the cheese hard, but it's enough to fill your stomach. You finish your meal, and then the routine begins again. You wash your hands in the basin, the water already dirty from the day's grime. The same water you used this morning, the same water you'll use tomorrow. As you lie down on the hard mattress, the familiar weight of exhaustion settles in. The air is still thick with coal smoke, the sounds of the factory still echoing in your mind. Your body aches, your lungs burn, and you wonder, not for the first time, if things will ever change. Will you ever escape this cycle? Will your daughter ever be able to live a life free from the factory? You close your eyes, the weight of the day pressing down on you, and for a moment, you let yourself drift into sleep. There's a glimmer of hope, a faint dream of something better, but it feels distant, impossible, a dream that may never come true. The factory bell rings, louder today than it has in weeks. It echoes through the streets, past the tenements, and across the soot-streaked roofs. Another day, another round of work. You hear it as you wake, your eyes still heavy with sleep, your body stiff from the previous day's labor. You don't want to rise, don't want to face another day of grinding at the loom, breathing in the dust, living in the factory's shadow. But there's no choice. The work will wait for no one, and neither will the mill owners. Your daughter stirs beside you, her small body still curled up under the thin blanket. She doesn't want to wake either. She never does. You wish, more than anything, that she could be spared from this life. You wish she could run away to a place where her body wouldn't ache, where her lungs wouldn't burn from inhaling cotton dust. But there's no place for her to go. Not unless something changes. Your wife's soft cough breaks the silence in the room. She's already awake, the fire crackling in the stove as she stokes the last embers, trying to get enough heat for the morning. The smell of coal smoke fills the room, thick and heavy. It's the smell of industry. It's the smell of survival. The weight of routine. You sit up, feeling the familiar aches in your bones. Your back, your legs, your chest, all sore from the strain of yesterday. You roll your shoulders, trying to ease the tightness, but it doesn't help. You've gotten used to the pain, but it never goes away. Your body is slowly wearing down, piece by piece. Every day in the mill takes another small part of you, and there's no time to heal. The chamber pot is in the corner, full again, as it always is. You take care of it quickly. The smell just another part of your routine. It's not even a thought anymore. The same goes for the cold water in the basin, the harsh soap that scrapes your skin. Your hands are already raw, your nails broken and caked with grime. It's all you have, and it's all you need. Your daughter moves to the basin, already washing her face. She's not complaining. She doesn't need to. This is the way life is now. This is what she has always known. The silence is heavy as you eat your breakfast. Bread that's hard, cheese that's stale, weak tea that barely warms you. Your wife doesn't sit with you. She can't. There's too much to do, too much to prepare. You eat quickly, barely tasting the food. There's no point in savoring it. The factory waits, and it doesn't care if you've eaten, if you're tired, or if you're sick. It only cares that you show up and work. Your daughter finishes her meal, her face empty of emotion, her eyes already distant as she stares at the table. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. She's already learned that words don't change anything here. Silence is the only thing that matters. The factory is waiting for both of you. The unseen pain of the mill. When you step out into the streets, the familiar sight of the mill fills your vision. The smokestacks rise high into the sky, their black plumes of smoke swirling in the air. The streets are crowded, just like they always are, with workers heading to the factory. The air is thick with the scent of coal, human waste, and the staleness of sweat. You breathe it in without thinking. You've learned to. As you make your way to the mill, you can feel the weight of the city pressing in on you. The streets are filthy, the ground slick with muck and refuse. You pass the public pump where women and children are already waiting, their jugs in hand, ready to fetch water that they won't know is slowly poisoning them. The connection between water and disease is still a few decades away from understanding, but it's there, lurking just beneath the surface. You glance at your daughter, walking silently beside you. Her small feet drag in the dirt, her shoulders hunched under the weight of another day. You wish you could take it all away from her. This life of toil, this life of suffering. But there's no escape, no refuge. The mill is waiting, the machine that never stops. You reach the factory, its looming presence swallowing you whole. The air inside is thick with cotton dust, and the hum of machinery fills your ears. The workers are already at their stations, their bodies moving mechanically, their faces pale from exhaustion and the constant inhalation of dust. You slip into your place, your hands automatically reaching for the loom, your body moving on instinct. Your daughter is already at her station, her small hands working with the same precision she's learned over the last year. She's too small for the work, but she's been taught that it's the only option. She crawls under the machines, her hands delicate and quick as she clears the debris and oils the gears. The work is dangerous. The machines are unguarded, but she doesn't complain. She can't afford to. The overseers walk by, their eyes scanning the floor for any sign of weakness. They don't care about the workers, about the pain, the sickness, the exhaustion. They care only about getting the work done. If you stop, if you slow down, they'll replace you. And there's always someone waiting to take your place. You can feel the toll it's taking on your body. But there's no room for weakness. There's no room for rest. The factory hums, the machines spin, and you keep working, pushing through the exhaustion, the pain, the dust. The growing realization. As the day drags on, you feel the weight of it all. Your back aches, your hands are sore, and your lungs feel tight with each breath. But what's worse is the growing realization that things aren't getting better. They're only getting worse. The work is relentless, and it's taking its toll on your body. The exhaustion is creeping in deeper, filling your bones, wearing you down. You glance at your daughter, her small body bent over the machine, her face pale and thin. You can see the exhaustion in her eyes, the fatigue in her movements. She's already lost her childhood to the mill, just like you've lost yours. She doesn't even know what a life outside the factory could be. She's never known anything else. But you can't stop. You can't even slow down. There's no time for weakness. There's no time for dreams. A flicker of change. But there's a flicker, a faint glimmer of something in the distance. You don't know what it is, but you feel it. A shift in the air, a feeling that things can't stay this way forever. The whispers are starting, faint voices calling for reform, for better conditions, for change. You've heard it from the older workers, from those who've been in the mill for years and are starting to question the system. They speak in hushed tones, talking of laws, of movements, of the possibility that this life of grinding labor could one day end. It's a small thought, a dangerous thought, but it lingers in the back of your mind. Could things really change? Could your children ever live a life free from the mill? Could they have a future beyond the factory floor? It feels impossible, but it's there, just beneath the surface. The seeds of change are being planted. They're slow, they're small, but they're there. And for the first time in a long while, you allow yourself to hope. The same cycle. As the factory whistle blows again, signaling the end of your shift, you feel the exhaustion wash over you. Your body aches, your mind is numb, and your lungs burn from the dust. The day has been long, just like every other day. But there's something different this time. Something faint, something hopeful. You gather your things and head out of the factory, the streets just as filthy as they were in the morning. The air is thick with coal smoke, and the smell of waste lingers in the air. But you walk with a new sense of purpose. Maybe, just maybe, there's hope for a future without the mill. Maybe your children won't have to live this life. Maybe one day they'll have something more. You walk home, your daughter beside you, her small hand in yours. The city is still dark, still filled with the noise of industry. But for the first time in a long while, you feel a small spark of possibility. The factory is quieter today. Not because the machines have stopped, they never stop, but because the hum of the looms seems a little softer, the clatter of the gears a little more distant. You feel it in your bones, in the way the workers move, slower today, quieter than usual. It's the first hint of something. A shift, maybe. A change, if only in the air. You sit at your station, your hands moving on instinct. You've worked here long enough for the tasks to become second nature, for the machinery to feel like an extension of yourself. You don't think much about it anymore. Just the repetitive motion, just the ache in your joints, the burn in your lungs. But today, something feels different. Maybe it's the whispers that have started circulating around the mill, the quiet murmurs about a new movement, about change. You can feel it, faintly, like a ripple in the still water. You glance over at your daughter, who is working beside you. She's smaller than the others, her hands delicate, but she moves with the same precision she's learned over the years. Her face is pale from the long hours, but there's something in her eyes today, a spark that hasn't been there before. She hasn't said anything, but you can feel it. She knows. She can sense the shift, too. The rumors of change. The talk is growing, spreading like wildfire among the older workers. The ones who've seen the worst of the mill. The ones who've spent decades here, their bodies worn and broken by the endless labor. They speak in low voices, careful not to draw attention. But you hear it. There's a growing sense of discontent, a hunger for something more than just survival. Some are talking about strikes, about unions, about workers standing together and demanding their rights. The thought is radical, dangerous even, but it's out there now. The whispers are growing louder, and for the first time, you wonder if it could be real. Could it be possible that that all of you, could rise up against the factory owners, against the mill bosses, and demand something better? Something more than this endless cycle of exhaustion and suffering. You can't help but dream about it, even if just for a moment. You think of your daughter, of her future, of the future of the other children in the mill. Maybe there's hope for them after all. Maybe they won't have to live this life. Maybe they won't have to breathe the dust, feel the weight of the machines crushing them down. The thought is intoxicating, and you let it linger in the back of your mind. For now, that's enough. Just the thought that change could be coming, that it's possible. The sacrifice of dreams. But the mill is still there. The machines still run. The air is still thick with cotton fibers and coal smoke. And the overseers still patrol the floor with sharp eyes, looking for any sign of weakness. The work doesn't stop. It never does. You push the thoughts of rebellion aside as you focus on the task at hand. Your body is still sore from yesterday, from the endless hours of bending and moving, from the constant strain on your muscles. Your lungs ache from the dust, the soot, and you know it's only a matter of time before you start feeling it in your chest again. But there's no time to think about that. The work is relentless, and the mill demands your labor. Your daughter is moving just as fast, just as tirelessly, her small body already bent from the years of factory work. You wonder how much longer she can keep this up. She's only 12. She should be playing, running outside. But instead, she's here, in the mill, working like a grown woman. Her hands are already rough, her skin pale from lack of sunlight, her face lined with the exhaustion of someone much older. You look at her, and for a fleeting moment, the weight of it all crashes down on you. This isn't the life you wanted for her. This isn't the life you wanted for any of them. But here you are, trapped in this cycle, trapped in this factory with no way out. Your heart aches for her, for all the children in the mill, for the generations of workers who have come before, who have given their lives to this factory and never once asked for anything in return. A glimpse of light. The hours pass slowly, each one dragging on like the last. You're tired. Your body feels like it's breaking down. But you keep moving. You keep working. The machines don't stop, and neither can you. But then, in the middle of the day, something shifts again. There's a new presence on the factory floor. A man you don't recognize, walking with purpose through the rows of workers. He's not an overseer. He doesn't carry a whip or a clipboard. He's dressed simply, but there's something about him, something that draws attention. He's not here to inspect the work. He's here for something else. You watch him as he moves through the factory, his eyes scanning the room, his expression serious. He speaks briefly to one of the older workers, a quick exchange of words you can't quite hear. But there's something about the way they talk, the way the older worker nods, that makes you wonder, could it be? Could this man be part of the movement? Could he be the one to help you, to help all of you, break free from the factory's grip? You don't know for sure, but there's a glimmer of hope in your chest. Maybe this is the beginning. Maybe this man is the first of many who will come, who will help you stand together, fight for your rights, fight for a better life. The thought is dangerous. It's a long shot. But it's there, a flicker of possibility in a life full of uncertainty. The cost of resistance. You can feel the shift on the factory floor. It's subtle, but it's there. The workers are looking at each other differently now, exchanging glances, talking quietly during breaks, sharing whispered words of hope. It's a dangerous thing. To speak of rebellion in a place like this, with the overseers always watching, the mill bosses always lurking. But the thought is out there, and it's growing. You think about what it would mean to stand together, to walk out of the mill, to refuse to work until things change. You think about the risks, the dangers, the punishment that could come down on you and your family. The threat of losing your job, of being replaced by someone younger, someone cheaper. The thought makes your stomach twist with fear. But then, you think about your children, about the life they could have if things change. And for the first time in years, you allow yourself to dream. Just for a moment. You can't stop the thoughts. They grow in your mind, spreading like a wildfire. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the moment when everything changes. Maybe this is your chance to stand up for something better. For a life beyond the mill. For a future where your children don't have to live in this endless cycle of exhaustion and pain. The quiet rebellion. As the factory bell rings again, signaling the end of your shift, you can't help but feel the weight of the day lift off your shoulders. It's not freedom, not really. The factory still stands, the machines still hum, and the work will continue tomorrow. But today, there's something different in the air. Something electric, something alive. You walk out of the factory, your body sore, but your mind filled with a strange sense of possibility. The streets are just as filthy as they were in the morning, the air just as thick with smoke. But today, it feels different. You feel different. Your daughter walks beside you, her small hand in yours. You don't speak, but you both know. You know that something is changing. It's small, it's quiet, but it's there. And maybe, just maybe, it's the beginning of something bigger. The factory bell tolls, and for a moment, you freeze. It's not the usual sound, the harsh blare that has become part of the rhythm of your life. This time, it feels different. There's a slight quiver in the air, a tension that wasn't there yesterday. The whistle is sharper, more commanding, and as it echoes through the narrow streets and into the hearts of workers, something stirs in the depths of your soul. Today feels different. You wake to the sound of the bell, as you always do. But this time, there's a spark in the back of your mind. The mill has taken everything from you, your body, your health, your freedom. But now, you wonder, could it take something more? Could it take the fight? Your wife shifts beside you, her breath steady. You've learned over the years how to move quietly, how to slip from under the thin blankets, and step over the scattered clothes without waking her, without waking the children. You feel it in your bones, in the strange quietude of the morning. The factory is a beast, and you have been its willing servant for too long. But for the first time, the idea of servitude doesn't sit quite so easily. You stand, and your joints crack under the strain of yesterday's work. Your body is an old man's body, but your spirit feels different today. Restless, unsure of what to do with itself, but hungry for something more. Something better. You glance at your daughter, still asleep beside you. Her small face is calm, free of the worries that fill your head. Will you leave her the same life, the same broken body, the same life of servitude? Or will today be the day you fight for something else? The call to action. By the time you've washed your face in the cold water from last night's basin, something has settled over you. The whispers in the mill, the quiet talk of the older workers about unionizing, about standing together and making a stand. Those whispers are growing louder. You can hear them now, in your own heart. Could it be possible? The mill has become a prison of sorts, a place where you and your fellow workers are reduced to nothing but cogs in a wheel. The factory runs, and so do you. You breathe the air, heavy with dust. filled with the smoke from the factory's ever-burning furnaces. You move from station to station, your body aching, your hands bruised, your lungs filled with the remnants of every day you've ever spent here. But today, there's something more. There's a sense of urgency, a need to change, to break free. But how? What can one worker, one family, do against such a powerful institution? You think of the conversation you overheard just the other day. The man who came into the mill. The outsider who seemed to know something that no one else did. His words echoed in your mind, even now. He was talking about unity, about solidarity, about the workers coming together to demand a change. It's a dangerous thought, a risky one, but it's also a necessary one. The spark of unity. You glance at your daughter, who has already risen and is washing her face with the same cold water. She moves quickly, but you can see the weariness in her eyes. She's only 12, and yet she's already learned to do this. Clean herself quickly, quietly, without complaint. She's been working in the mill alongside you for a year, and it shows. Her small hands are rough, her skin pale, but still, she moves as though this is the only way to live, the only way to survive. You wonder how much longer she can keep it up. How much longer can you keep it up? The factory has taken so much already, and now it seems to be taking your daughter's childhood, her innocence. Is this the future you want for her? For all the children who work beside you? You shake your head, clearing your thoughts. Today isn't about the future. It's about the now. The mill, the factory, the daily grind. Everything feels suffocating today, like it's pressing in on you, trying to make you forget that there's something better, something possible, something that doesn't involve the constant hum of machines, the choke of coal dust, and the endless, grinding work that never ends. The stand begins. The factory bell rings again, louder than before, and you feel it reverberate through your chest. The workers begin to stir, moving from their posts, getting ready for another long day. The air is thick with the scent of sweat and coal, and you can see the weariness in their eyes. You're not the only one feeling this way. There's something else, something simmering under the surface. The workers are looking at each other more now. They're talking, exchanging quick, furtive glances as they move to their stations. The overseers are already moving through the factory, their eyes scanning for any hint of dissent. They're always watching, always looking for someone to punish, someone to blame. But today, the workers don't shrink away. They stand a little taller, their heads held higher, as though they're seeing something they haven't seen before. You take a deep breath, trying to steady yourself. You look over at your daughter. She's already at her station, working like she always does. But there's something different in the way she moves today. There's a fire in her eyes, something fierce and new. She's tired, yes, but there's a strength in her that you've never noticed before. She's a worker, a fighter, and though she's young, she knows what's at stake. You don't know what will happen today. You don't know if the whispers will become a full-blown uprising, or if it will all be snuffed out before it has a chance to begin. But you know one thing for certain. Today is the beginning of something. You feel it in the air. You feel it in the way the workers are standing a little taller, a little braver. The price of rebellion. The hours drag on. The machines never stopping. The overseers walking the floor, their eyes sharp. But today, the workers aren't looking down. They're looking up at each other in solidarity, in a quiet defiance that hasn't been there before. You feel it too, in your chest. The desire to fight, the need to stand up for your family, for your future. You can't let this cycle continue. You can't let your daughter live like this forever, working until her body breaks down, until her soul withers away in the shadow of the factory. There has to be more to life than this. The lunch bell rings, and the workers gather around the small break area, talking in hushed voices. It's not much, just a small piece of bread, maybe some cheese, a weak drink of tea. but it's enough to keep you going. But today, as you gather with your fellow workers, something is different. The tension in the air is palpable. Everyone is speaking in quiet voices, but the words are different today. They're not just about the work, about the machines, about the hours. They're about something bigger, something that feels almost revolutionary. You can hear it in the voices of the older workers, the ones who have been here for decades. They speak of strikes, of unions, of standing together to demand more. And for the first time, you feel like maybe, just maybe, this is possible. That you and your fellow workers can stand up and demand the life you deserve. But there's a price, a heavy price. If you stand up, you risk everything: your job, your livelihood, your safety. The overseers will retaliate. The mill owners will stop at nothing to crush any attempt at rebellion. The consequences will be severe. But you can't ignore the voice inside you, the one that's telling you to stand up, to fight for something better, for a future where your children don't have to suffer like you have. The first step toward change. As the factory bell rings again, signaling the end of the shift, you feel a mix of emotions: relief, exhaustion, but also something more, something new. The workers walk out of the factory, their faces still tired, still worn, but now there's a quiet strength in their steps. There's a sense of purpose, a sense of unity. You glance at your daughter as she walks beside you. She's tired, yes, but her eyes are brighter today. You can see it in the way she holds herself, in the way she moves. She's no longer just a worker. She's a part of something bigger. She's part of a movement, part of a force that's rising in the factory, in the city, in the hearts of the people who are tired of being crushed under the weight of the industrial machine. You walk home in silence, but there's something different about it. There's hope now. There's a future, no matter how distant it may seem. The city feels different today. The same smoky air, the same narrow, dirty streets. But there's something more in the air. A tension, a charge that wasn't there yesterday. The workers are different. You can feel it as you walk through the streets to the factory, the weight of the morning pressuring down on you. But it's not the usual weight. It's heavier today. You sense it in the silence, in the way the workers keep their heads slightly higher than usual, in the way they're walking with purpose. Something is happening. Your body is still sore from yesterday, from the labor, from the hours you spent at the loom, but your mind is sharper today. For the first time in years, you don't feel like you're just surviving. You feel like you're part of something, something bigger than yourself, bigger than the factory. There's a new strength in your movements, a new fire in your chest. It's small, it's barely noticeable, but it's there. Your daughter walks beside you, her feet dragging in the dirt, but there's something in her that mirrors your own feelings. She's tired, her body worn from the constant strain, but she's looking ahead now. Not just at the factory, not just at the machines. She's looking past that, at something she hasn't seen before. A future where she doesn't have to work her body to the bone just to survive. You reach the factory, and the noise of the machines greets you as it always does. The heavy clattering, the hum of the looms, the oppressive sound of industry. But today, as you step inside, it's not the factory that commands your attention. It's the workers. You can feel the undercurrent of energy in the air, like something is building, like they're waiting for something to happen. The overseers are already walking the floor, their eyes sharp, their faces cold. But even they seem to notice the difference. They move through the factory with purpose, their eyes scanning for any hint of trouble, any sign of rebellion. But they can't see what's happening in the hearts of the workers. They can't see the unity that's slowly forming in the shadows. The rebellion brews. The day stretches on, the hours dragging, each minute heavier than the last. You can feel it in your bones, the strain of the work, the constant toll of the factory. But today, it's different. There's a quiet hum in the factory, a whisper that runs through the rows of workers. The older ones are talking, speaking in hushed tones about the meeting that's been scheduled for later, about the plan they've been working on, about standing together. The whispers spread like wildfire, passing from one worker to another. The overseers can't hear it. They can't stop it. But you hear it, and for the first time, you understand the power of the workers, the power of unity. You've been a part of the factory for so long, part of the machine, but now you see it for what it really is, a trap. The mill has been built to break you, to keep you in line, to wear you down until you have nothing left, but not anymore. The thought stirs something deep inside you. The idea of standing together with your fellow workers, of defying the factory, of demanding better wages, better conditions, better lives. It's frightening, of course. The overseers will punish any hint of rebellion. The mill owners will stop at nothing to crush any attempt at change. But something about it feels right. Something about the possibility of it feels like the beginning of something new, something powerful. The risk of standing together. As the day wears on, you find yourself looking at your daughter differently. Her small face is drawn with exhaustion, her hands rough from the work. You know what the factory does to her, to all the children. It takes their childhoods, their health, their spirits. You know that if nothing changes, she'll end up like all the others, working herself into the ground, losing years of her life to the machines. The thought tears at you. You wish you could do something, anything to save her from this fate. But then you think about the workers, about the meeting that's been scheduled, about the chance to stand up and fight. The risk is enormous, but so is the reward. If you stand together, if you join the movement, if you unite as one, you could change everything. You could give your daughter a life free from the factory. You could give her a chance at something better. But the risk is real. The overseers are watching. The mill owners will retaliate. They will punish you, your daughter, your entire family. It's a dangerous game. But the idea of a better life, of a life free from this industrial prison, fills your mind. It fills your heart with the smallest sliver of hope. The decision. As the final bell rings, signaling the end of the shift, you find yourself standing still, caught in a moment of indecision. The factory floor is buzzing with the usual noise, the clatter of machines, the hum of the looms. But it feels different today. The workers are standing taller, looking around with a new sense of purpose. Some of them have already started gathering in small groups, speaking in hushed tones, their voices low but filled with urgency. Your body aches, your lungs burn. But today, the pain feels secondary. You look at your daughter, who is already making her way toward the door, her small hands clutching the bundle of clothes and tools she carries every day. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. She's already part of this world. But she doesn't have to be. None of you have to be. Not anymore. The thought of standing up, of joining the others, fills you with both fear and exhilaration. You know the risks. You know what the factory owners will do if they find out. But you also know that something has to change. Your body can't take much more of this. Neither can your daughter's. You step forward, your heart pounding in your chest. You don't know if you're ready, but you can't stand still any longer. You've made your choice. You walk toward the workers who are gathering in the corner of the factory, your footsteps slow but steady. The factory is watching, the overseers are watching, but for the first time, you don't care. You stand with the workers, with the ones who have had enough. The change has started. The power of solidarity. As the workers gather, you realize something you never fully understood before. The power of unity, the strength in standing together. There's a quiet force building, and it's contagious. The whispers have turned into shouts, the small conversations into a chorus of defiance. The overseers can't stop it. The factory can't stop it. The workers are rising, standing tall, and for the first time, It feels like something real. You can feel the heat of it in your chest. The energy of the workers standing together, demanding what they deserve. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about your daughter, your family, your future. It's about everyone who has been ground down by the factory. Everyone who has worked themselves into the grave just to survive. And for the first time in a long time, it feels like there's a chance. A chance to change it all. A chance to break free from the mill's grip. The overseers move through the workers, but their presence feels less imposing now. The workers are standing together side by side, their heads held high. The fear is still there, but it's less powerful now. Together, you are stronger. Together, you are unstoppable. The price of change. The factory bell tolls again, but this time, it feels like a signal. A signal that the shift is ending, that something new is beginning. You don't know what will happen next. You don't know if the factory owners will cave to the workers' demands, or if they will retaliate, crushing the movement before it has a chance to grow. But you know one thing. You've made a stand, and that's worth everything. You glance at your daughter as you both make your way out of the factory. She's walking with a little more confidence today, a little more fire in her eyes. She's seen the workers stand together. She's seen the power of solidarity, and it's changed something in her. It's changed something in you too. You don't know what the future holds, but for the first time, you believe that it could be better. You believe that you can give your daughter a life outside the factory, a life where she isn't bound to the machines. It's a dream, yes, but it's a dream worth fighting for. And as you walk home, your daughter's hand in yours, you feel it again. That spark, that glimmer of hope. For the first time in years, you feel like there's a chance. Maybe, just maybe, the cycle will be broken. The factory is alive with noise today. Not just the usual hum of machines, not just the clatter of the looms, but something more. The workers are louder today, more determined. There's a fire in the air, a hum of anticipation. It's palpable. It's real. The change is coming. The overseers move through the factory, their eyes sharp, their faces hard. They've noticed the shift too. The workers aren't shrinking away from them like they always do. They're standing tall now, shoulders squared, eyes focused. They're not afraid anymore. They know what's at stake. They know that this is their chance, the moment they've been waiting for. You feel it too. In your chest, in your bones. The tension, the energy. For the first time, you're not just a worker in the factory. You're a part of something bigger. You're part of the movement. And that knowledge is power. It's what keeps you moving, what keeps you standing here, facing down the overseers with your head held high. You glance over at your daughter. She's standing beside you, her small hands gripping the fabric of her apron, her face set with determination. Her eyes are brighter than usual, her steps surer. She's seen the workers stand together. She's seen the spark of hope that has ignited in the hearts of those around her. She's ready. Ready for something different. Ready for change. But you know that change doesn't come easily. It never does. The price of standing tall. The hours drag on. The machines clattering and groaning. The air thick with cotton dust and coal smoke. But today, there's a rhythm to it. A rhythm that's not just about survival. Not just about getting through the day. Today, there's a purpose. The workers are moving with a sense of unity, of power. Every step they take, every turn of the loom, is a small act of defiance. But the price of standing tall is steep. You can feel it in your bones, the strain of the day's labor. The factory never stops, never gives you a moment to breathe. The overseers are still walking the floor, still watching, their eyes scanning for any sign of rebellion, any hint that the workers are starting to fight back. You know they'll retaliate. They'll find a way to crush this movement, to break the spirit of the workers before it can gain momentum. You glance at your daughter again. She's still working, still moving with the others, But there's something in her eyes now. Something different. She's seen it. She's seen what standing together can do. She's seen that the factory doesn't have to be all there is. That there's something more. And for the first time, she believes it. She believes that change is possible. The tension in the air is growing. You can feel it tightening, like a storm on the horizon. You don't know when it will break, but you know it will. And when it does, it will change everything. For better or for worse, it will change everything. The silence stands. The factory bell rings again. But today, it feels different. Today, the workers don't move to their stations with the usual resignation. Today, they move with purpose. They move as a unit. You feel it as you step into the factory, your feet moving more confidently than they have in years. The machines are still running. The overseers are still watching. But today, there's something else in the air. Something electric. You see it in the eyes of the workers, in the way they move. They're not just working anymore. They're standing together. They're fighting together. You can hear the murmurs growing louder, the quiet voices of dissent turning into a chorus of defiance. The workers are speaking to each other in quick, hushed tones. Their words a promise that they will no longer accept the grind of the factory, the sweat, the tears, the exhaustion. They will no longer accept a life of endless labor without reward. The overseers move through the factory floor, their eyes scanning, their lips pressed tight. They're looking for any sign of weakness, but they won't find it. Not today. The workers have made their stand, and it's not one they'll back down from. You glance around, and for the first time, you see the faces of the workers, not just as machines, not just as tools of the factory, but as people. People who have had enough. People who are ready to fight for their dignity, their rights, and their future. The first act of defiance. The lunch bell rings, but no one moves. Not immediately. For the first time, the workers don't rush to the break area. They stand, their eyes fixed on the overseers, their backs straight, their faces determined. The overseers look at each other, exchanging uneasy glances. They know something is happening, but they don't know what. They don't know that the workers are done with silence, done with fear. They don't know that today is the day the workers make their stand. Finally, the first worker steps forward. It's a small act. Just one worker, stepping away from the machine, standing tall in front of the overseers. But it's enough. It's the first spark, the first defiance. It's the beginning of the end. The overseers freeze, their eyes narrowing. They know that one worker stepping forward is a sign. They know that it's only a matter of time before more follow. And they do. One by one, the workers step away from their stations. They stand together, their heads held high, their hands clenched into fists. The overseers try to shout, to command, but the workers don't move. They don't flinch. They stand tall, together. The breaking point. The overseers retreat, their voices sharp with authority. But their words have no power anymore. The workers have made their decision. They've chosen to stand together, to fight together, and nothing will stop them. The factory owner is alerted, of course. He knows what this means. He knows that this is no ordinary act of rebellion. The workers are united, and they are demanding something more than what the factory is willing to give. The mill has been built on the backs of the workers, on the sweat and blood of people like you and your family. But today, the workers are taking back what's theirs. Today, the factory's power is starting to slip away. The bell rings again, but this time, it's not just a signal for another shift. This bell marks the beginning of a new era, a new fight. The workers are standing their ground, refusing to go back to the way things were. They've made their stand, and they won't back down. But there's a price. The overseers are already making plans. The factory owners are already preparing to retaliate. The workers know this. But they also know that they've reached a tipping point. This is no longer just about getting through the day. It's about survival. It's about dignity. It's about something more than just the mill. The struggle continues. The next few hours are tense. The overseers are on edge, their eyes watching every move, every whisper. They can't stop the workers from standing together. They can't break their unity. The workers know this. They know that the real battle is yet to come. The owners will come down hard, but the workers will be ready. You glance at your daughter as the day wears on. She's still standing tall, still standing with the other workers, her small hands clenched into fists. She hasn't said a word, but she doesn't need to. She's part of this. She's part of the change. And for the first time, you believe it too. You believe that something is shifting, that the factory's grip on your life is loosening. Maybe it's just a crack, a small break in the system. But you feel it. You feel that the workers are rising, that they're standing up for what's right. And for the first time in years, you feel like there's a chance, a real chance, that things will change. You've stood together, and together, you can change everything. The tension in the factory is thick enough to cut with a knife. The air, already heavy with dust and coal smoke, now feels almost suffocating as the workers stand together. You can feel the change in the atmosphere, a collective pulse of determination, a powerful force that radiates from the workers' unity. The overseers try to keep control, but it's clear that something has shifted, something irreversible. You stand with the others, your feet planted firmly on the factory floor, your fists clenched at your sides. The overseers are still moving between the rows of workers, their faces tight with fear and frustration. They bark orders, but the workers are unshaken. They have seen the power of standing together, and they know there's no going back now. This isn't just about better wages or improved working conditions anymore. This is about reclaiming dignity, about refusing to be treated as machines. Your daughter stands beside you, her small hand in yours. Her grip is tight, a silent pledge of solidarity. She's only 12, but today she feels older. Today, she is standing for something bigger than herself, bigger than the factory. And for the first time, she looks at you with a glimmer of pride in her eyes, as if she understands the weight of what's happening here, as if she knows that this moment, this stand, is something that will define the rest of her life. The factory's response. But the factory is not idle. The bell rings again, but this time it's not just a signal for the end of the shift. It's a signal for something darker, something the factory owners can't ignore. They've seen the workers unite. They've seen the defiance that has sparked in the hearts of those who've long been ground down by the mill. And now, they will act. The factory owners, their pockets lined with the sweat of the workers, have no intention of allowing the workers to stand united for long. The overseers are already moving into position, their eyes narrowing as they scan the workers. They're looking for weakness, looking for an opening, a moment of hesitation. But the workers have no hesitation. Not now. Not today. You watch as the factory owners' emissaries, men dressed in fine clothes and carrying the unmistakable air of power, make their way toward the factory floor. They're not here to speak to the workers. They're here to crush this movement before it can take root. Their presence sends a ripple of unease through the crowd, but it doesn't break the workers' resolve. It only strengthens it. The workers stand taller, their heads raised, their eyes filled with a quiet fury. They've been pushed to the edge for too long, and today, they will not be silenced. The overseers move closer, their sharp eyes scanning for any sign of rebellion. But it's clear that the workers are no longer afraid. The silence between them speaks volumes, a quiet but powerful resistance that reverberates through the factory. The first confrontation. The factory owner's emissaries step onto the factory floor, their eyes sweeping across the rows of workers. They stop in front of the group of you, the workers who have dared to stand together. You feel the weight of their gaze, but it doesn't make you flinch. You know what's coming. You know the threat that looms over you, but you also know that this is the moment. This is the moment when everything changes. For better or for worse. This is the point of no return. One of the emissaries steps forward, his face pale with anger. His voice rings out across the factory floor, sharp and cutting. You think you can defy us? You think you can stop the factory? He spits, his words dripping with disdain. You are nothing but workers, nothing but tools to keep this mill running. You think you have power? You think you can bring this place to a halt? We'll break you. The words hang in the air like a threat, like a warning, but the workers don't flinch. They don't bow to the threat. They stand firm, shoulder to shoulder, refusing to be intimidated. You step forward, your voice steady but firm. We've been broken already. We've given everything to this factory, our sweat, our blood, our lives, and it's never enough. We are the ones who make this mill run, not you. Without us, this factory doesn't exist. Your words echo across the factory floor, and for a moment, everything is still. The emissary's face tightens with anger, but he says nothing. The workers are silent, waiting. The tension is thick, suffocating, and you know that whatever happens next will determine the future. The mill owners will either break the workers' spirits, or the workers will break the chains that have bound them to the factory for so long. The price of rebellion. The emissary steps back, his gaze flicking nervously between the workers. The overseers, standing at the edges of the room, are watching closely, their hands twitching as if they're ready to act at any moment. But something has shifted. The workers are not afraid. They stand as one, ready to face whatever comes next. You can feel the weight of the moment. It's not just about this confrontation. It's about everything. The years of suffering, the pain, the exhaustion. It's all coming to a head today. This is the culmination of everything you've endured, everything the workers have endured. The rebellion, the defiance, the courage to stand up for what is right. It's all here. But you also know that rebellion comes at a cost. The factory owners will retaliate. They will find a way to crush this movement, to make an example of those who dared to stand up. You know it. The workers know it. But still, they stand tall, their faces resolute, their hearts strong. The cost is high, but the reward is greater. As you stand there, facing down the emissary, the overseers, the factory owner's power, you think about your daughter. You think about the future you want for her. You think about the life you want to give her. A life where she doesn't have to work herself to the bone just to survive. A life where she doesn't have to be a cog in the machine. A life where she can dream. And her dreams are worth something. You're fighting for that future. For her. For every child in the mill. For every worker who has given their all and received nothing in return. And for the first time in a long while, you feel the strength of that fight. It's not just about surviving anymore. It's about dignity. It's about respect. It's about change. The confrontation escalates. The factory owner's emissary eyes you for a long moment, his face hard with anger. Then, without warning, he turns to the overseers and gives a curt command. The overseers move forward, their eyes sharp, their steps heavy with authority. You brace yourself. You know what's coming. You've seen it before. The punishment, the retaliation. But you won't back down. Not today. The overseers stop in front of you, their eyes cold. They stand tall, but they can't hide the uncertainty in their movements. They don't know what to do. They've never faced this before. Not this level of unity. Not this level of resistance. One of the overseers steps forward, his voice harsh. You think you're untouchable? You think you can defy us without consequence? His words hang in the air, thick with threat. You don't flinch. You don't step back. We've already paid the price, you say, your voice steady. We've paid with our bodies, with our lives, and we'll keep paying. But we won't be silenced. Not anymore. The overseers stand there for a moment, looking at each other, and then one of them steps back, his face twisted in anger. The tension is suffocating, but it's clear now. The workers are not backing down. The factory owners are losing control, and they know it. The battle begins. The overseers step back, but they know what's coming. The workers know what's coming. The factory owners may try to crush the rebellion, but the workers have already won something. They've won their dignity. They've won the right to stand together, to demand change. And no matter what happens next, that can never be taken away. You glance at your daughter. She's still standing tall, her small hands clenched at her sides. Her face is set, determined. She's ready for whatever comes next. And for the first time, you feel a sense of peace. You know that no matter what happens, you've done the right thing. You've stood up for what matters. The factory bell tolls again, and the workers stand together. The storm is coming, but they will face it as one. The air in the factory is thick with tension, heavier than it's ever been. The overseers move about, their eyes flicking nervously from worker to worker, as if expecting someone to flinch, to break. But no one does. Not today. The workers are standing taller, their faces hard with resolve. There's a quiet strength in the air, a unity that can't be ignored. You feel it too, deep in your chest. The energy, the raw power of standing together. For the first time in years, you're not just surviving, you're fighting. Fighting for your dignity. Fighting for a future that doesn't have to be defined by the factory. And as you stand there, your heart beats louder, a rhythm that matches the collective heartbeat of the workers around you. You glance at your daughter, standing beside you. She's only 12, but today she's a warrior. She's standing tall, her small hands clenched into fists. She's seen what standing together can do. She's seen that the power lies in the unity of the workers. And now she knows that the factory doesn't have to have the final say. The future can be different. This moment, this fight, is a turning point for all of you. The overseers, once confident and filled with authority, are starting to show signs of uncertainty. They glance at each other, their eyes flicking nervously between the workers. They're not used to this. They're not used to the workers fighting back. But the workers are unshaken. They've made their stand, and they won't back down. The factory owner's last stand. The factory bell rings again, but today, it's not just the sound of another shift. It's the sound of a turning tide. The factory owners, who have been watching from the shadows, have finally decided to act. They can't afford to lose control over their workers. They can't afford to let the rebellion spread any further. A man steps into the factory, his presence imposing. He's a factory owner, you can tell by his posture, by the way he carries himself. He's dressed in fine clothes, his face cold and calculating. He stands at the front of the factory floor, his gaze sweeping over the workers. His eyes land on you, on your daughter, on the group of workers standing together in defiance. "Enough," he says, his voice booming through the factory. His words hit like a hammer, but they don't have the power they used to. The workers stand tall, unafraid. "You think you can stop me?" he spits. "You think you can disrupt the factory's work? You think you can change this?" You don't flinch. You can feel your daughter's hand tighten around yours, her grip strong. You know that the factory owner doesn't understand. He doesn't understand that this isn't just about work anymore. This is about the workers taking back control, about reclaiming their dignity. It's not just a fight for better wages or conditions. It's a fight for the future. The battle for dignity. The factory owner steps forward, his eyes narrowing as he looks at the workers. "You'll regret this," he warns, his voice sharp, his words laced with the threat of punishment. "I'll make sure you regret this." But the workers don't move. They don't even flinch. The air between you and the factory owner is thick with anticipation. This is the moment. This is the battle. This is where everything changes. Your heart beats faster as the workers around you stand even taller. They know what's at stake. This isn't just about survival anymore. This is about something bigger. This is about dignity. It's about the right to be treated as human beings, not just cogs in the factory machine. The overseers move forward, their eyes scanning for any sign of weakness, any crack in the workers' unity. But the workers stand firm. They know that if they falter now, if they give in, the factory will crush them, and nothing will ever change. They can't let that happen. Not today. The first strike. The factory owner raises his hand, a signal for the overseers to move in. The workers brace themselves. You feel the tension building, the pressure rising. You've seen the overseers use their power before, seen them strike workers for less. But today, there's a different energy in the factory. The workers are ready to fight back. The first overseer steps forward, his face twisted in anger. He reaches for the nearest worker, a man standing beside you, but before he can touch him, the worker takes a step back, his eyes locked on the overseer. "Not today," he says, his voice low but firm. "We're done." The overseer hesitates, unsure of what to do. The workers around you are watching, their eyes filled with a quiet strength. They're not afraid. Not anymore. The overseer tries again, but this time, the workers are ready. One by one, they step forward, blocking his path, standing shoulder to shoulder. They form a wall, a barrier that the overseer can't break through. He stands there for a moment, his fists clenched. But he can't break the unity of the workers. He knows that if he strikes, it will only escalate. It will only make things worse. The overseer steps back, his face red with anger. But the workers don't move. They stand tall, their eyes focused on the factory owner. They've made their stand, and they won't back down. The factory owners retreat. The factory owner watches the scene unfold, his eyes flicking between the workers and the overseers. He's used to having power, used to being in control, but he can feel it slipping away. He knows that he can't break the workers now, not with so many standing together, not with their unity so strong. For a moment, the factory owner hesitates. You can see it in his eyes. He's calculating, thinking of what to do next. He's always had the upper hand, but today, the workers have the power, and it scares him. The overseers are still watching, still waiting for the signal to act, but the factory owner shakes his head. He's not going to risk a full-scale revolt. Not yet. He turns to leave, his shoulders stiff with frustration. "This isn't over," he warns, his voice cold. "We'll see how long your unity lasts. You'll all be replaced." But the workers don't move. They don't flinch. They know what this means. The battle isn't over, but they've won a small victory. They've shown the factory owner that they are no longer afraid, that they are no longer his tools. And that, in itself, is a victory. The victory of unity. As the factory owner and his emissaries retreat, the workers stand tall, their faces filled with quiet triumph. You can feel the weight of it lifting, just a little. The factory owner may have left, but he knows that the workers are not the same as they were before. He knows that this moment, this stand, has changed something deep inside the workers. And for the first time in a long while, you can feel it. The factory's grip on your life is loosening. You glance at your daughter, her small face filled with pride. She's still standing with the other workers, her shoulders squared, her hands still clenched in determination. You can see it in her eyes, the fire, the strength. She's no longer just a worker. She's part of something bigger. She's part of the movement. And for the first time, you feel like the future could be different. The workers begin to speak, their voices low but full of pride. They've done it. They've taken a stand. The factory may still loom over them. The overseers may still threaten, But today, the workers have shown their power. They've shown that they will no longer be silenced, that they will no longer be controlled. They've taken the first step towards something better. And as the workers stand together, united in their victory, you know that this is only the beginning. The road ahead will be hard. The battle will be long. But the workers are ready. They're ready to fight for their future. And with that, the factory owner may have won the day, but the workers have won the future. The factory floor feels like a battleground today. The silence, once so oppressive, has been replaced by a different kind of tension, one filled with the promise of change, but also the weight of what's to come. The workers move with purpose, their eyes focused, their steps deliberate. The factory owners may have retreated for now, but they won't stay gone forever. Everyone knows that. Still, the workers stand tall. The overseers have grown more cautious, their steps hesitant. The power that once flowed so freely from the factory owners to the overseers, from overseers to workers, has shifted, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. The overseers no longer strut with the same confidence they once did. Today, there's something different in the air. It's as though the workers have taken back a small piece of themselves, a piece that had been slowly worn away by years of toil. You feel it in your chest, in the tightness that has been there for so long, but is now loosening, just a little. You glance at your daughter, who is still standing tall beside you. Her eyes are bright with determination. She's not a child anymore. Not today. Today, she is part of something bigger. She is part of the movement. The overseers move among the workers, but their eyes are wary. They keep their distance now, no longer pushing their authority in the same way. They've felt the shift too. They know that the workers are no longer the docile, quiet laborers they once were. Something has changed, and that change is irreversible. The whisper of retaliation. But even in this newfound unity, there is an undercurrent of fear. You know it as well as anyone. The factory owner may have retreated today, but he'll be back. The worker's stand has shaken him, but it's also made him more dangerous. The factory owner will strike back. Of that, you're certain. You glance over your shoulder, watching as the overseers confer in low voices. They know what's coming. They're already making plans, already discussing how to punish the workers for their defiance. The whispers of retaliation are already swirling among the workers, but no one speaks of it too loudly. They don't need to. Everyone knows what's at stake. You think about your daughter again. Her small face, usually so full of youthful innocence, is now set in a mask of resolve. She's ready for what's to come, but you wonder if she fully understands the risks. You wonder if she knows that standing up, fighting for her dignity, fighting for her future, will come with a price. And you're not sure if she's ready for that price. None of you are. The factory owner won't back down easily. He'll strike where it hurts the most. The workers' livelihoods. The pay will be cut. The hours will be lengthened. The retaliation will come in many forms, and it will be brutal. But the workers have already proven something today. They're not afraid to fight. A moment of calm. The day wears on, and the factory hums with its usual rhythm. But there's something different in the air. The workers move more deliberately, more thoughtfully. They're not just surviving anymore. They're fighting. They're reclaiming the parts of themselves that had been worn away over years of suffering. And that is something the factory owners didn't anticipate. You watch as the workers go about their tasks. Their movements are slower now, more measured. They are standing their ground, not just physically, but emotionally. You see the solidarity in their eyes. It's no longer just about the work. It's about the message they've sent to the factory owners. The message that they are not to be broken. Not today. Not ever again. You watch your daughter as she works. She's not moving as quickly as she usually does, but there's a quiet strength in her movements. She's not afraid. She's learned something today, something she didn't know before. She's learned that her voice, her presence, her actions can make a difference. and she will carry that with her for the rest of her life. You feel the weight of it, the weight of what you've all achieved together. It's small, but it's significant. The factory owner may have retreated today, but he'll know that the workers have the power to stand up, and that will change everything. The price of unity. But the price of unity is steep. You can feel it. The workers may have won today, but they know that the battle is far from over. The overseers will report back to the factory owners, and they will find a way to retaliate. The factory owners don't forget easily, and they won't let this stand. They'll strike back. The question is, will the workers be ready for what comes next? You glance around at the other workers, their faces tired but filled with resolve. They know what they're up against. They know that the factory owners will retaliate. But they're ready. They've already made their stand, and they won't back down. The factory is still running. The machine's still humming. But the workers are different now. They've taken back their dignity. They've reclaimed their power, and nothing can take that away from them. They stand as one, and that unity is their greatest strength. You think about the future, your daughter's future, the future of all the workers. It won't be easy. The factory owners will fight back, but the workers have learned something valuable today. They've learned that standing together can change everything, and they will keep standing together, no matter what. The next steps. The factory floor begins to calm. The workers moving a little slower now. The machines working at a steady hum. But there's something new in the air. Something that wasn't there before. The workers are not just filling the space with their labor anymore. They're filling it with their power, their resolve. And they're not backing down. You take a deep breath. The air thick with the smell of coal smoke and cotton dust. You feel it in your lungs. But it doesn't matter anymore. The factory is no longer just a place where you work. It's a place where you fight. It's a place where you stand for something greater than yourself. The overseers move through the factory, their eyes scanning the workers. But they're not looking for the same things anymore. They're not looking for weakness. They're looking for rebellion. They're looking for the spark of defiance that's already spreading through the workers, like wildfire. You feel the spark too, deep in your chest. You know that this is just the beginning. The workers will keep standing together, keep fighting for their dignity, for their rights. And the factory owners will have to face that truth. They will have to face the power of unity. A quiet triumph. The bell rings, signaling the end of the shift. The workers move slowly, their bodies sore from the long hours of labor. But there's a quiet triumph in the air. The factory owners may have the power, but the workers have the strength. And today, that strength has been tested. You walk out of the factory, your daughter by your side. She's tired, but her step is firmer now, her head held higher. She's no longer just surviving. She's fighting for a future. And so are you. The streets outside the factory are the same as they always are. Dirty, crowded, filled with the smells of industry. But today, they feel different. They feel full of possibility. The workers are walking with their heads held high, their steps more confident than they've ever been. And as you walk home, your daughter beside you, you know that this is only the beginning. The factory may still stand, the machines may still hum, but the workers have learned something today. They've learned that they can fight, and they will keep fighting, for as long as it takes. The factory is quieter now, quieter than it's been in a long time. The workers are still moving, still laboring, but there's a subtle shift in the air, something that wasn't there before. The overseers move with caution, their steps quieter than usual, their eyes scanning the workers as if they expect something to happen at any moment. But the workers aren't afraid. Not anymore. You feel it too, deep in your chest, the calm before the storm. The workers have made their stand, and though the factory hasn't fallen yet, the change is undeniable. It's small, but it's real. You can see it in the way the workers move now. They're not just filling their shifts anymore. They're reclaiming their lives, 1 hour at a time. They're standing together, and that unity has power. But you know the cost of standing together. The overseers are watching. The factory owners are already preparing their retaliation. The workers' stand has shaken them, but it's not over yet. The real fight is just beginning. The workers may have made their stand, but now they must endure the consequences of their defiance. You glance at your daughter, standing beside you, her small hands still gripping the fabric of her apron. Her face is tired, but there's a new strength in her eyes. She's seen what standing together can do. She's seen that the workers can make a difference. And now, she's part of that change. The calm before the storm. The shift ends slowly, the workers moving more deliberately than before. The overseers are still present, but their authority feels less absolute today. The workers are walking with their heads held higher, their eyes more focused. They've made their stand, and though the factory hasn't crumbled, the workers have proved something. They've proven that they can fight, and that is a victory in itself. You stand with your fellow workers, the familiar ache of your body from the day's labor slowly settling in. But you don't feel the same weariness you usually do. Today, there's something different. Today, there's a sense of hope in the air. It's fragile, but it's there. The factory owner may still hold the keys to the factory, but the workers have proven that they don't have to accept the life they've been given. They can demand something more. They can take back their dignity. You feel it, that small spark of hope. It's like a flame in the darkness, flickering, but refusing to be snuffed out. The workers stand together, their faces set with determination. But there's something else in the air today, something that's harder to ignore. The price of standing together. The overseers are moving through the factory now, their eyes darting between the workers, searching for any sign of weakness, any hint of dissent. They don't understand what's happening. They don't understand why the workers are standing taller, why they're not afraid. The overseers have always held the power, but today, that power feels a little weaker. You feel it too, the weight of the overseer's gaze. You know that the retaliation is coming. You know that the factory owner won't let this stand. The workers have made their stand, but now they must pay the price. The factory will strike back, and it will strike hard. The question is, can the workers endure it? Can they hold their ground long enough to see the change they've fought for? You look at your daughter again. She's standing tall, her small hands clenched into fists, her eyes filled with a quiet fire. She's seen the price of resistance. She's seen the consequences of standing up to the factory. But she's also seen the power of unity. She knows that the workers can't be silenced anymore. She knows that the battle isn't over, and she's ready to face whatever comes next. The retaliation begins. The next day, the retaliation begins. It's subtle at first. A change in the air, a shift in the overseer's demeanor. They're still watching, still moving through the factory. But now their eyes are sharper, more calculating. They're looking for any sign of weakness. They're waiting for the workers to falter, to back down. But the workers don't flinch. They stand firm. You feel it, the tension in the air. The overseers are ready to strike, but the workers are ready too. They've made their stand, and they won't back down. The factory owner may think he can break them, but he's wrong. The workers are more united than ever. They've shown that they're not afraid, that they can stand up for themselves. But the retaliation comes, in small ways at first. The factory owner cuts wages. The overseers push the workers harder, demanding more with each passing day. The hours are lengthened, the work more grueling. The workers feel the weight of it, but they don't back down. They stand together, stronger than ever. You can feel it in your body, the exhaustion creeping in. The work is harder now, but you push through it. You think about your daughter, about the future you're fighting for. This isn't just about surviving anymore. This is about giving your children a chance to live a better life. A life where they don't have to work themselves to the bone just to survive. The struggle for a better future. The days stretch on, the workers pushing through the fatigue, through the constant retaliation. But there's something new in the air now, something that wasn't there before. The workers are stronger than ever, their unity unshaken. They know that the factory owner will keep coming, that the overseers will keep pushing, but they're ready for it. They've made their stand, and they won't back down. You watch as the workers go about their tasks. They're moving slower, more deliberately now, but they're not defeated. They're not broken. They've been pushed to the brink, but they haven't fallen. And as you watch them, you realize something. The workers have already won, not in the way they thought they would. Not with the factory crumbling, not with the owners capitulating. But they've won because they've proven something. They've proven that they can stand together. They've proven that they can fight back. They've proven that the factory doesn't have to control their lives. And that, in itself, is a victory. The factory owner may have won today, but the workers have won something far more valuable. They've won their dignity. They've won their unity. You think about your daughter again. She's standing tall beside you, her small face set with determination. She's seen the price of standing up. She's seen the cost of resistance. But she's also seen the reward. She's seen that standing together can bring change. And that is a lesson she'll carry with her for the rest of her life. The long road ahead. The factory may not have fallen today, but the workers know that they've made progress. The retaliation has been harsh, but it hasn't broken them. They're still standing, still united, still fighting. And as you walk through the factory, you feel the strength in the air. It's not just the machines humming anymore. It's the workers. It's the unity. It's the quiet power that comes from standing together. You walk beside your daughter, your hand still gripping hers. The road ahead is long, and the fight is far from over. But you know one thing for sure. You're not alone. The workers are with you. They always will be. And together, you'll keep fighting, no matter what comes next. The factory may still stand, but the workers have proven that they are not just cogs in the machine. They are people. They have power. And they will keep fighting for a better future. A future where their children don't have to work themselves to the bone just to survive. A future where they can dream, and their dreams are worth something. And for the first time in a long time, you believe that future is possible. The road ahead is hard, but the workers are ready to face it. Together, the factory is no longer just a place of work. It's become a symbol of defiance. A battleground where the workers are pushing back against the weight of the factory owner's control. The machines hum in the background. The overseers move through the floor. But there's a subtle shift in the air. The workers are different now. They're no longer just laborers. They're fighters, united in their struggle. You feel it in your chest, the power of standing together. The factory may still be running. The owners may still have control, but the workers have made a stand. And that stand has changed everything. The overseers are still watching, their eyes sharp. But there's something in the way the workers move today. A quiet confidence that wasn't there before. They know what they're up against. They know the retaliation will come. But they also know they're not alone. You glance at your daughter, walking beside you. Her small face is still set with determination. But there's something more in her eyes today. A quiet strength. A knowing that the factory can't break them. She's seen the power of resistance. The strength that comes from standing together. And though the road ahead is long, she's ready. She's ready to fight for a future where she doesn't have to live in the shadow of the factory. A future where she can choose her own path. But you know that the fight is far from over. The factory owners won't let go easily. They'll keep coming, pushing harder, demanding more. The retaliation will be harsh, but you also know that the workers have something the factory owners can't take away, their unity. And that unity is their greatest weapon. The factory owner strikes back. The retaliation begins, not with the heavy hand of the factory owner, but with something more subtle. The workers' wages are cut. The hours are extended. The overseers push harder, their eyes constantly searching for any sign of weakness. But the workers don't falter. They stand together, shoulder to shoulder, their resolve unbroken. They've been pushed to the edge, but they haven't fallen. You feel the weight of it, the toll of the extra hours, the constant push to do more with less. The factory owner knows that this is the best way to break the workers. He can't crush them with force, not yet. But he can wear them down, make them so exhausted that they'll eventually give up. And yet, the workers stand tall, their faces set with determination. They're not backing down. Not today. Your body aches from the long hours of labor. Your muscles protest, your hands are raw, and the factory air, thick with dust and coal smoke, burns in your lungs. But you don't stop. You can't. Not now. The workers are united, and you know that if you give in now, if you falter, the factory will break you. It will break everyone. And you won't let that happen. Not today. You glance at your daughter, who is working beside you. Her small hands are moving quickly, efficiently, but you can see the fatigue in her eyes. She's exhausted, but she's pushing through it. She's seen the cost of resistance, the price of standing up, but she's also seen the reward. She's seen the power of unity. And she won't give up. Not today. The weight of resistance, The overseers are moving through the factory, their eyes scanning for any sign of rebellion, any hint of dissent. They're looking for someone to crack, someone to break the line. But the workers don't flinch. They don't move. They stand firm, united in their resistance. The overseers may have the power to punish, to cut wages, to extend hours, but they don't have the power to break the workers' resolve. Not anymore. You can feel the weight of the factory on your shoulders. It's been years of hard labor, years of being ground down, but today it feels different. The workers are standing together, their voices rising in quiet defiance. They've proven something. They've proven that they don't have to accept the factory's demands. They don't have to accept the life they've been given. But it's not just about surviving anymore. It's about fighting for something better. It's about fighting for a future that doesn't involve the factory's endless demands, that doesn't involve working until your body breaks down. It's about fighting for dignity, for respect. And though the cost is high, it's a fight worth having. The overseers can push all they want, but they can't break the workers. They can't break the unity that's formed between the workers. They can't break the bond that has been forged in the heat of battle. And that bond is stronger than any punishment, stronger than any retaliation the factory owners can throw at them. The price of unity. But unity comes with a price. The workers have proven their strength, their resolve, but now they must pay for it. The factory owner knows that the best way to break them is to isolate them, to turn them against each other. He knows that if he can break the workers' unity, he can break them. And so, he begins his subtle attack. The wages are cut again. The hours are lengthened. The overseers increase the pressure, demanding more from the workers. The factory owner believes that this will make the workers give in, that the exhaustion will eventually wear them down. But he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand that the workers have already made their stand. They've already proven that they won't be broken. They won't be silenced. Not today, not ever again. You feel the weight of it, the toll of the extra hours, the constant strain of the factory's demands. Your body aches, your lungs burn, but you won't stop. You can't stop. Not now. The workers are standing together, and that unity is their greatest strength. You glance at your daughter again. She's still standing tall, still pushing through the exhaustion. Her face is pale, her hands are raw, but she's not backing down. She's fighting for a future where she doesn't have to spend her days in the factory, where she doesn't have to work until her body breaks. And for that future, she'll fight. And so will you. The breaking point. But even the strongest resistance has its breaking point. The workers have stood strong, but the retaliation is taking its toll. The factory owners are getting more ruthless, the overseers more demanding. The workers are exhausted, their bodies worn down by the constant labor, the endless hours. They've fought back, but the factory has a way of wearing them down, of grinding them into submission. You can feel it in your bones. The exhaustion, the fatigue. The workers are beginning to falter, just a little. Their movements are slower, their eyes more weary. The factory is still pushing, still demanding more, and it's taking its toll. But even in the face of this pressure, the workers stand together. They stand tall, their heads held high. They've come too far to back down now. They've proven their strength, and they won't let the factory break them. They can't. Not now. You glance at your daughter once more. She's standing beside you, her small face filled with determination. She's tired, yes, but she's ready. She's ready to keep fighting. She's ready to see this through to the end. And for the first time in a long time, you feel a flicker of hope. The factory may still stand, but the workers have proven something. They've proven that they are not just machines. They are not just laborers. They are people. And together, they have the power to change everything. The resolve to keep fighting. The factory bell tolls once more, signaling the end of another shift. The workers move slowly, their bodies aching, their muscles sore. But there's a quiet resolve in their steps. The factory may still control their lives, but they've taken something back. They've taken back their dignity, their unity, and that is something the factory can't take away. You walk beside your daughter, your hand still gripping hers. She's still standing tall, still ready to fight for a better future. You don't know what will happen next. You don't know how much longer the workers can keep fighting, but you do know one thing. They won't stop. They won't give in. They've made their stand, and that stand has changed everything. The road ahead is long, and the battle is far from over. But today, the workers have proven something. They've proven that they have the power to stand up, to resist, to demand better. And that is something that will never be taken away. As you walk home, your daughter beside you, you know that the factory may still stand, but the workers have won something far more valuable. Their dignity, their unity, and their resolve to keep fighting for a better future. The factory floor is once again alive with the noise of machines. But today, there's something different in the air. The workers move with purpose, their eyes sharp, their bodies more deliberate than they've been in months. The overseers walk among them, but they don't carry the same air of dominance they once did. The workers have changed. They've found a strength they didn't know they had, a power they've been carrying quietly for years. You feel it too. The factory still looms, its machines still clanging and humming. But today, it feels different. The workers aren't just filling the space with their labor. They're filling it with something more. Hope, unity, defiance. Your body is sore. Your hands are rough from the endless work. But today, the exhaustion feels different. It's not just physical. It's a heavy weight that comes from years of toil, of sacrifice. But now, there's a spark inside you, a quiet flame that keeps you going. You glance at your daughter as she works beside you. Her small hands are nimble, moving efficiently, but her eyes, though tired, are steady and focused. She's no longer the scared child she once was, the one who feared the factory's endless demands. She's grown in ways you never expected, and the factory doesn't know it yet, but it's about to find out. The factory owner's frustration. The factory owner's emissaries have been quiet lately, but their frustration is evident in the way they watch the workers. They can't hide it. They can't hide the fact that they've seen the change. The workers are no longer the passive laborers they once were. They've seen the workers stand together, seen them refuse to back down. And it's unsettling. The factory owner doesn't tolerate disobedience. He's used to having control over his workers, used to having the power to push them around and make them obey without question. But now, there's resistance in the air. The workers are speaking in hushed tones, exchanging glances, sharing quiet plans. The emissaries move through the factory floor with a heightened sense of urgency. They know that the longer the workers hold their ground, the harder it will be to crush them. You see the overseers move more carefully now. They're not pushing as hard. The weight of their authority feels lighter today. They're still watching, still trying to control, but the workers aren't responding the way they once did. They've found a new strength. The factory owner may still hold the reins, but for the first time in years, it feels like the workers have control over something that matters. The whisper of rebellion. As the day drags on, you can feel the tension in the air. The factory owner may still be in charge, but the workers have begun to whisper among themselves. There's talk of action, of standing together in ways they haven't before. The overseers still move among the workers, trying to maintain their control, but you can see the workers' eyes. They're different now. They're not just looking at the machines, the work, the factory. They're looking beyond it. They're looking at what they can do together. You overhear bits of conversation as you work, quiet murmurs passing between workers who have never spoken to each other before. They're talking about a strike, about refusing to work until their demands are met. You know it's risky. The factory owners will retaliate. They'll find a way to break the workers, to force them back into submission. But there's something in the air today, something that's never been there before. The workers are standing tall, refusing to be silent. The idea of a strike doesn't seem so impossible anymore. You glance at your daughter again. She's still focused on her work, but her eyes keep darting to the other workers. You can see the shift in her, the change. She's no longer the frightened child in the factory. She's become a part of this movement, this struggle. She understands now, understands that the factory doesn't have to control them. She understands that standing together means something. The decision to fight. The workers continue with their tasks, but there's a shift in the air. The noise of the machine seems less oppressive now. The overseers still bark orders, still try to impose their control, but it's different today. The workers aren't just following orders anymore. They're standing firm, their movements more deliberate, more purposeful. The factory is still running, the machines still clattering away, but the workers have stopped being just a part of it. They've become a force. And then, as the hours drag on, the decision is made. The workers, led by those who have spoken of the strike, gather in the corner of the factory. They stand together, shoulders squared, faces filled with determination. They've seen the factory owner's emissaries watching. They've seen the overseers moving with growing fear. And they know this is their moment. This is their chance to take control of their lives. The strike will happen. The workers will refuse to work until their demands are met. They know the cost. They know the retaliation will come. The overseers will punish them. The factory owner will find a way to break them. But the workers stand tall, unshaken by the threat. This is more than just about the work. This is about dignity. This is about respect. And this is the only way they can take it back. The risk of rebellion. The factory owner's emissaries watch from the edge of the room, their eyes narrowed. They can sense the shift in the workers. The energy in the air is palpable. But they don't act. Not yet. They wait, hoping the workers will back down, hoping they'll see the danger of their defiance. They hope the workers will be scared enough to return to their work, to fall back in line. But the workers don't move. They don't flinch. The overseers are still walking the floor, their eyes scanning for any sign of trouble. But they don't know what to do. They don't know how to break this new spirit in the workers. The workers are standing together, and the overseers feel the power shift. For the first time, they're not in control. The workers are. You can see it in the way they move. The overseers are still trying to maintain their authority, but it's not the same anymore. The workers have learned something they didn't know before. They've learned that they can fight back. They've learned that their unity is stronger than the factory's power. And they won't back down. But you also know the cost. The strike is a risk. The retaliation will be brutal. The factory owner won't let this stand. He'll find a way to break the workers, to make an example of those who have dared to defy him. But despite the risks, despite the danger, the workers stand firm. They've made their decision. They're not going back. The defiance of unity. The overseers move through the factory floor, trying to maintain control, trying to break the workers' unity. But it's no use. The workers are standing tall, their eyes fixed ahead. They're no longer afraid of the overseers. They're no longer afraid of the factory owner. The power has shifted, and the workers know it. You stand with your daughter, your hand still gripping hers. She's ready. Ready to stand with the other workers. Ready to face whatever comes next. The strike may cost them, but it's a cost they're willing to pay. They know that this is the only way to change their lives, to take back their dignity. And they're ready to fight for it. You take a deep breath, the factory air thick in your lungs. The workers around you are standing tall, their backs straight, their faces filled with determination. You know what's at stake. You know the cost of this rebellion. But you also know that standing together is the only way to make the change they need. The only way to secure a future for your daughter. For all of them. The bell rings, signaling the end of another shift. The overseers are still watching, but the workers are moving more slowly now. They're not just laboring anymore. They're standing together. And that, in itself, is a victory. The factory is once again alive with noise, but this time, it feels different. The machines hum in the background, their constant clatter a reminder of the endless labor that keeps this place running. But the air is thick with something else today. A heavy silence that settled over the workers. A silence filled with anticipation. You can feel it. The change in the atmosphere. The workers are no longer just filling their roles, moving mechanically from one task to the next. They are standing tall now, shoulders squared, their faces full of purpose. They have made their decision. The strike has begun. You glance around at the other workers. Their movements are slower, more deliberate. Some of them have already stepped away from their stations, standing quietly but firmly with their fellow workers. They are united, and that unity is a powerful thing. The overseers are still walking the floor, their eyes searching for any sign of weakness. But the workers are not backing down. Not today. You feel the weight of it on your shoulders. The factory owner will come for them, you know. He will retaliate. The factory owner doesn't tolerate disobedience. He doesn't tolerate defiance. But what he doesn't understand is that the workers have crossed a line. The workers are no longer afraid. They know what they are fighting for. They know what is at stake. And today, they are willing to fight for it. You look at your daughter, standing beside you. She's still small. But today, she carries herself differently. She's no longer just the child she was when you first walked into this factory. She's part of this movement now. She's seen what it means to stand together. She's seen that the workers have power when they unite. And she's ready to face whatever comes next. The factory owner's response. As the minutes tick by, the overseers begin to move faster, more aggressively, as if trying to reassert some form of control. But the workers are resolute, standing firm. They've made their stand, and nothing, no threat, no retaliation, will break their unity. The factory owner's emissaries have already been informed of the situation. They know what's happening. They know that the workers are no longer willing to comply, and they don't like it. The factory owner can't allow this. He can't let the workers think that they have any power. He'll strike back, but the question is, how? You watch as the overseers gather, their faces tight with frustration. The factory owner is coming. You can feel it in the air. The workers are preparing for what's to come, but they are ready. They've made their decision, and it won't be undone. Suddenly, you hear the sound of boots echoing across the factory floor. The overseers step aside, and the factory owner emerges from the shadows, flanked by his emissaries. He's tall, his face hard, a reflection of the power he's used to wielding. He walks toward the workers, his steps deliberate. His presence commands the room, but it's different now. The workers aren't shrinking from him. They're standing tall. The factory owner looks over the workers, his gaze cold. "You think you can stop this factory?" he asks, his voice laced with disdain. "You think you can disrupt the work that keeps this place running?" There's a moment of silence, a heavy pause. The overseers and emissaries are watching, waiting, but the workers don't move. They don't flinch. "You've made your stand," the factory owner continues, his voice growing harder. "But I won't let you get away with this. You'll regret this decision. Every last one of you." But still, the workers don't back down. They stand together, their eyes fixed on the factory owner. They know what's at stake, and they're ready to fight for it. The battle of words. The tension in the factory is palpable, a crackling energy that feels as if it could ignite at any moment. The factory owner glares at the workers, his face twisted with anger. But the workers remain silent. They don't need words to express their resolve. The unity they've forged speaks louder than anything they could say. The factory owner takes a step forward, his eyes flashing with fury. "You think you're untouchable," he sneers. "You think you can just stop the wheels of this factory from turning? You're nothing without this mill. Nothing. And I'll show you what happens to those who dare to defy me." The overseers step forward, but the workers don't move. They don't back away. The overseers try to impose their authority, but they know better than to act now. The factory owner's anger is simmering, but he can't break the workers. Not yet. A quiet murmur rises from the workers, a collective whisper of resistance. They are not afraid. They are not backing down. This isn't just about wages or working hours. This is about more than that. This is about dignity, about respect. And no matter how hard the factory owner tries to crush them, the workers will stand. The factory owner's threat. The factory owner's gaze narrows, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. The overseers watch him, waiting for his next move. They know that the factory owner won't tolerate defiance for long, but even they can sense something has shifted. The workers have made their stand, and it's stronger than anything the overseers have seen before. "You think you have power?" the factory owner asks, his voice low and threatening. "You think standing together makes you invincible?" He steps forward, closer to the workers. "You're wrong. You're nothing. You're just pawns in a game that you don't even understand. And I'll make you pay for this." But the workers don't flinch. They don't move. They stand their ground. The factory owner stares at them for a long moment, then turns on his heel, his face set in a hard line. "I'll make sure you regret this," he says, his voice cold and filled with threat. "You'll be replaced. Every last one of you." The overseers and emissaries fall in behind him, their eyes still on the workers. But they too can feel the shift. The factory owner's words ring out in the stillness. But they don't have the same power they once did. The workers are standing together, and the factory owner knows it. He knows that this time, the workers have power. The retaliation begins. The factory owner may have left, but the workers know that the retaliation is coming. It's only a matter of time before the factory owner makes his move. The overseers will start pushing harder. The wages will be cut again. The hours will be extended. The workers know it. The overseers know it. But they also know that they won't back down. You watch the workers, your fellow laborers, as they move back to their stations. They don't rush like they used to. They don't bend under the weight of the overseers' demands. Today, they work slower, more deliberately. They're not just moving to fill time. They're working for something bigger. They're working for their dignity, for their future. The overseers try to push them, try to make them work faster, but the workers stand firm. They don't break. They don't let the overseers push them around. Today, the workers have control, but you can feel the weight of the factory owner's wrath. It's only a matter of time before the retaliation begins. The overseers will be crueler, the hours longer, the conditions worse. The workers will suffer, but they will not break. You glance at your daughter. She's still working, still moving with purpose, but you can see the weariness in her eyes. You know what this fight is costing her, and you wonder how much longer she can hold on. But she doesn't complain. She doesn't falter. She stands with the workers, and that's all that matters. The call for solidarity. The bell rings again, signaling the end of the shift, but the workers don't move. They stand together, their eyes filled with quiet defiance. The overseers are still moving through the factory floor, trying to impose their control, but the workers stand firm. They've made their stand, and nothing will break them. The factory owner may have left, but the battle is far from over. The workers will face retaliation, but they will face it together. The workers know that they have something the factory owner can't take away. They have unity, and that is a power the factory owner can't break. As the workers gather, you feel the weight of the moment. The fight isn't over. The retaliation is coming, but the workers will stand together. They will fight for a future where they don't have to toil in the shadow of the factory. A future where their children won't have to suffer the same fate. You glance at your daughter again. She's ready. The workers are ready. And so are you. Together, you'll face whatever comes next. The factory is quieter now, but the silence is tense, pregnant with uncertainty. The workers move slower today, the once deafening hum of the machines now sounding like a constant reminder of what they've endured. The overseers pace the floor with a sense of urgency, but their movements are nervous, uncertain. The factory owner has seen to it that the retaliation begins in subtle ways. The small cuts to wages and harsh punishments for those who don't meet the expected output. But there's something in the air that wasn't there before. The workers may be weary, their bodies heavy with exhaustion, but there's a spark that's alive between them. It's a quiet strength, a strength that has grown from months of struggle. And though the factory owner has tried to make them suffer, to break their spirit, the workers have learned something. They've learned that they can stand together, that their collective voice can echo louder than the factory machines that surround them. You stand among them, your body aching from the constant work, your hands raw and calloused. The factory still controls much of your life, your hours, your pay, your future. But there's a change in the way you walk now. You don't just trudge through the motions. You move with purpose. And your daughter, standing beside you, mirrors that change in every step. Her face is tired, but her eyes still burn with a fire that tells you she's not afraid. The factory may still stand, but the workers have proven that they can withstand the factory's pressure. And that is a victory, even if it's not one that the factory owners are willing to admit. The factory owner strikes harder. The retaliation intensifies. The factory owner has sent his emissaries to keep the workers in check, to remind them of who holds the power. The overseers are stricter now, their eyes more calculating. The workers are forced into even longer hours, their pay reduced further, their bodies pushed beyond their limits. The factory owner believes that by breaking their backs with longer shifts, he'll break their resolve. But what he doesn't realize is that the longer the workers toil, the stronger their unity becomes. The overseers begin to pick out the most vulnerable workers, those who are tired, those who show signs of weakness. They target them with harsh punishment, reminding the workers that their defiance will come with a price. But the workers are no longer intimidated. They stand together, their faces set in defiance. The overseers can see it now. The workers are not backing down. They've tasted power, and they know that together, they can make a change. You feel it too. The weight of the retaliation, the punishment that comes not just from the factory owners, but from the overseers. But you stand firm. The factory owner may have control over the machines, over the hours, but the workers have control over something much more powerful, their unity. And that is what the factory owner can never break. A shift in the air. The overseers move through the factory floor with a more aggressive energy, their eyes narrowing as they scan for any signs of rebellion. But the workers aren't afraid. They've seen the factory owner's tactics, their cruelty, and they've survived. It hasn't been easy, but the workers have learned something. Together, they can endure anything. They stand shoulder to shoulder now, their hands moving in unison, their faces focused. The overseers' orders fall on deaf ears. They bark commands, but the workers move deliberately, unhurried, as if their actions are part of a larger rhythm. You can see the overseers growing uneasy. Their authority is being tested, and they don't know how to respond. They try to impose their control, pushing harder, trying to break the workers' spirit. But the workers stand tall, unwavering. They know what's at stake. They know that this fight isn't just for better wages or shorter hours. This is about their dignity, their right to be seen as more than just tools for the factory. The overseers try to separate the workers, to pit them against one another, but the workers stand firm. They look to each other for strength, sharing quiet words of encouragement. It's a silent defiance, one that the overseers can't break. They move through the floor, watching for any cracks in the workers' resolve, but none come. The workers have made their stand, and they will not be swayed. The cost of defiance. The factory owner, though, is not one to be defeated easily. He watches from the shadows, his eyes cold, calculating. He sees the unity among the workers, and it unnerves him. He can't afford to lose control over them. He can't afford to let them believe that they have power. The factory owner begins to escalate the retaliation. The workers' pay is cut again. The hours are extended. The overseers are harsher. They monitor every movement, every second, as if hoping that the pressure will break the workers' spirit. But the workers don't bend. They don't break. You feel the exhaustion in your bones, the toll of the endless work. The factory owner knows that the longer he can push, the harder it will be for the workers to continue. But even as the punishment intensifies, the workers don't falter. They stand firm. Their unity has become their strength. They share in the pain together, knowing that no matter how hard the factory owner pushes, they will not be broken. You look at your daughter, her face still set with determination. She's seen the worst of what the factory has to offer, the exhaustion, the cruelty, the endless hours. But she's also seen the strength that comes from standing together. And she knows that the cost of defiance, while high, is worth it. For the first time, she understands that the workers are not just fighting for a better life for themselves. They are fighting for each other. The breaking point. The factory owner will not back down. He can see the workers' defiance, and it fills him with rage. But what he doesn't realize is that the workers have already won something. They've won their dignity. They've won the power to stand together and resist. And that is a victory the factory owner can't take away. The retaliation intensifies. The factory owner begins to impose stricter measures, trying to break the workers through exhaustion, through fear. But the workers are different now. They are no longer afraid. The factory owner may hold the reins of the factory, but the workers hold the reins of their own destiny. You feel the weight of it all. The exhaustion, the pressure, the toll that this fight is taking. The factory owner is trying to break the workers by force, but the workers are holding steady. They are standing together, shoulder to shoulder. They are united. And that unity is more powerful than any threat the factory owner can make. You glance at your daughter again. She's tired, yes, but she's still standing. Her face is set in determination, her eyes focused. She knows that the factory owner's retaliation will be harsh, but she also knows that this fight is worth it. And she's ready to face whatever comes next. The turning point. As the retaliation continues, the workers begin to sense something. They know that the factory owner is getting desperate. He's pushing harder, trying to break them, but his tactics are starting to fail. The workers are still standing, still united, and that unity is their greatest weapon. The overseers move through the factory, trying to impose control, but their eyes are filled with doubt. They've seen the workers resolve. They've seen the power of unity, and it's making them nervous. The factory owner may still have the power to punish, but the workers are showing him something he's never seen before. They are not afraid. And that, in itself, is a victory. The workers are beginning to sense the turning tide. The factory owner can push as hard as he wants, but the workers know something he doesn't. They know that change is coming. The factory owner's grip on the workers is loosening, and nothing he does can stop it. The factory floor hums with its usual noise, but today there's a change. It's subtle at first, a shift in the energy. The machines still whir, the overseers still watch, but there's something in the way the workers move today. They're more deliberate, their actions more purposeful. The defiance that had been quiet before has grown louder, more certain. Today, the workers are not just enduring the factory. They are reshaping it. You feel it in your bones. The exhaustion is there, the weight of every hour worked, every cut to wages, every punishment meted out by the overseers. But it's different now. You're not just surviving anymore. You're fighting. And that fight has brought the workers closer than ever before. You look at your daughter, standing beside you. Her face is tired, her hands raw from the constant labor, but her eyes are filled with something new, something powerful. It's the same fire you saw in her when the workers first stood together, but now it's burning brighter. She's not just a part of the movement, she's one of the leaders of it. She understands the fight now, understands that it's not just about a few more hours of sleep or a few more coins in her pocket. This fight is about dignity. It's about respect. It's about changing the world for those who come after her. The factory owner's desperation. The factory owner has grown desperate. He's pushed the workers harder, cut wages further, imposed even longer hours, but nothing is breaking them. The overseers have tried to impose their authority, to intimidate the workers into submission, but they've failed. The workers are standing firm. They're standing together. You hear whispers around the factory, hushed conversations among the workers. They've been talking about more than just enduring. They've been talking about the future. They've been talking about a world where they no longer have to endure the factory's oppressive demands. A world where their children don't have to work in these conditions. The workers are beginning to see that change is possible. And the factory owner can feel it. He can feel his control slipping, and he doesn't know how to stop it. He's used every tactic in his arsenal. Punishment, threats, even the promise of replacement. But nothing has worked. The workers are no longer afraid. They're no longer cowering in fear of the factory owner's power. And that realization is what scares him most. It's not the strike. It's not the rebellion. It's the workers' unity. They've realized something that he hasn't. The factory doesn't have to control their lives. The factory doesn't have to define who they are. And as the factory owner watches, he knows that he's losing. He knows that the workers are fighting for something bigger than just their wages or their hours. They're fighting for their freedom. and that fight is stronger than any retaliation he can bring. The power of unity. The overseers move through the factory floor, but today, they don't carry the same weight as they once did. Their steps are less sure, their commands less authoritative. The workers are standing tall, their eyes filled with resolve. The overseers bark orders, but they don't have the power they once did. The workers are no longer responding to fear. They are responding to something far more powerful. Unity. You feel it too. The tension in the air is still thick. The weight of the factory's demands still pressing down, but there's something different now. The workers are no longer just reacting to the demands of the factory owner. They are pushing back. They are shaping the factory, as much as the factory shapes their lives. The overseers walk the floor, their eyes scanning for any signs of rebellion, but they don't find it. The workers are standing together, their movements synchronized, their resolve unwavering. The overseers try to intimidate, try to impose their authority, but it's clear they don't have the power they once did. And you can see it in their eyes. The overseers are afraid. They know that the workers' unity is the one thing they can't control. And that fear is more powerful than any punishment they can impose. The moment of truth. The factory bell rings, signaling the end of another shift. But today, there's no rush to leave. The workers stand together, side by side. They've come this far, and they know what's at stake. The factory owner may still have control over the machines, over the work, but the workers have control over something else. They have control over their future. You stand with your daughter, feeling the weight of the moment. The factory is still standing. The overseers are still walking the floor, but today feels different. The workers are no longer just laborers. They are the ones in control. And then, as the workers gather together, a quiet realization sweeps through the group. This is it. This is the moment when everything changes. The workers are no longer just fighting for survival. They are fighting for the future. They are fighting for a world where their children don't have to endure what they've endured. You feel the fire of that realization in your chest. This isn't just about you anymore. This is about your daughter. This is about all of the children who have been born into this life of labor, who have had no choice but to accept the factory's demands. Today, the workers are fighting for something more than themselves. They are fighting for the next generation. The final confrontation. The factory owner strides into the room, flanked by his emissaries, his face tight with anger. His eyes scan the workers, lingering on their faces, searching for any sign of fear. But there is none. The workers stand tall, their eyes unwavering. They know what's coming, but they are not afraid. They have already made their decision. You think you've won? The factory owner spits, his voice dripping with contempt. You think your little stand will change anything? You're nothing without this factory. Nothing. His words fall on deaf ears. The workers don't flinch. They stand together, their faces full of resolve. The overseers try to move in, but they hesitate. They can feel the power of the workers' unity. They know that the factory owner's words no longer have the power they once did. The factory owner glares at the workers, his face twisted with rage. You'll regret this, he says, his voice low and threatening. I will make sure of it. But still, the workers don't move. They don't back down. The victory of unity. The factory owner and his emissaries leave the factory floor, their faces filled with frustration and anger. The workers remain standing, their heads held high, their hearts filled with the quiet victory that comes from standing together. The factory owner may have the power to control the machines, but he doesn't have the power to control the workers anymore. The workers have taken back something the factory owner can never take away: their dignity, their unity. You look at your daughter again, her small face filled with pride. She's seen what standing together can do. She's seen the power of unity, and she knows that the battle is not over. But for the first time, she believes in the future. She believes that the workers can change the world. The factory may still stand, but the workers have won something more powerful than just a temporary victory. They have won the future. And that is something the factory owner can never take away.